This is the first time Jamie's ever had a false start. He's getting tricky. That's real? That's real. We're live. Shane Dorian, how are you, brother? What's going on?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You know, you come highly recommended by my friend Ben O'Brien, who's an awesome dude. And apparently you guys had a great time in New Zealand, bow hunting.
Yeah,
And,
I love Ben. He's very Texas. And,
Yeah.
we had a really good old time down there. I'd never been to New Zealand for hunting before. I'd been there for surfing, so it was really cool to go and see different parts of the country and do some hunting out there. We did some backcountry stuff.
Surfing there, is it as dangerous as surfing in Australia as far as like sharks?
No, not as dangerous, I'd say. You know, there are sharks there. It's pretty close to Australia. It's only like a 1 hour flight. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
The
It's
same
like-
sharks are over there, but I don't know. I don't really think of sharks as much. There's no you have a total radical fear of sharks, huh?
Fuck yeah. It's awful.
They're scary creatures, man.
I'm
For
fucking
real.
horrified. How
Yeah,
close have you come
should
to
be.
them?
You should be. Very close. Yeah. I got bumped off my board when I was a kid,
Oh, no.
surfing at a place, sort of near my house, but the water was, the sand was black. So yeah, like I really couldn't, the water's actually clear, but the sand was black. So it bumped me and I never really got to see what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was a shark. And there's a lot of sharks in Hawaii. A lot of sharks. Wherever the waves are good, it seems like there's a lot of sharks, man.
Yeah. Well, that's not a coincidence, is it?
I don't know, man. They're just everywhere.
Yeah.
They're crazy. It's funny about sharks is growing up, I always thought, the only real sharks I had to worry about were, great whites. And, I was born and raised in Hawaii. That's where I grew up surfing. And, I always thought like great white sharks are always in like really cold places. I don't really have to worry it around home. And they've been finding a ton of great white sharks around, where I live now. They're all over Hawaii now. And, great white sharks are actually warm-blooded, so they can actually they can totally adjust their I guess their body temperature to be able to totally survive and thrive in warm water as well as cold. So they just go wherever the hell they want. Yeah.
Every time I go to Hawaii, whenever I turn on the news, the local news, some dude got bit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How often does it happen there?
Pretty often. There's a lot of sharks, and what's funny is it never used to happen when I was a kid. It wasn't even really a thought for me. I mean, I was scared of sharks and all that stuff, but people didn't really start getting chomped until I was a little bit older. In the last 10 years, there's been tons and tons of shark attacks in Hawaii. A friend of mine, Bethany Hamilton, she's a really, really talented surfer. She got bit. She got her arm chomped right off her body.
Oh, that
She was
girl,
like
that
14.
really young girl, yeah.
Yeah, in Kauai, surfing perfect waves out with her friend, and shark came up and just ripped her arm right off her body.
How gangster is she that she just gets right back on the board?
And she survived. She's badass. She's super badass. She actually surfed some of the biggest waves all year last year. She got towed into a place called Jaws on Maui and was surfing 50-foot waves with one arm, getting pounded by giant waves. And she paddles into some huge waves with one arm. Wow. Yeah, and gets held underwater with one arm.
That's incredible.
Imagine getting held under from a giant wave underwater, like trying to, just... I mean, I know people who are terrified of surfing big waves with two arms, and they're underwater wanting a breath, and she's under there with one arm. Imagine having like your arm tied to your side and having to try and swim to the surface in big waves. It's pretty scary.
Now, when you get hit by a big wave like that and you get sucked under, how long are you under normally for?
Usually a pretty short amount of time, but it really varies. The worst thing about surfing really big waves, and we've had a lot of people die surfing big waves, and it is super dangerous. The thing that kills people is getting held under for two waves. So if you fall on a wave, like if you take off on a wave and you fall and you're underwater for a super long time, and this has happened to me a couple different times, you're underwater really far, and then you start, the wave holds you under and is rolling you along the reef towards the shore, and you're underwater near the bottom or at the bottom. And then the waves just starts to dissipate and lose a little bit of power, so you can finally start swimming up. And then the next wave is, meanwhile, it's on its way. And you're swimming up, and the wave's coming at you. And you don't get a breath, and the wave takes you straight back down. And that's how people die. Yeah, it's scary shit. So,
How long have you been held under for?
about a minute and 10 seconds. It's a long time. The only reason I know that is because I had a terrible wipeout at a big wave place in Northern California called Mavericks. it was my first trip ever there, and I was having this awesome trip. It's like, it's one of the best big waves in the world. I always wanted to go there, but I was pretty scared of it, and I ended up going there and having the first day I was there was super good. I had a blast. I didn't fall once. I had like a dream session, caught all these big waves, thought I was killing it. Next day, it just absolutely smashed me. I took off on a wave, ate shit down the face, got sucked over the falls, held under forever on the reef, and I was swimming towards the surface, and the next wave was like a 50-foot face, broke right on top of me, shoved me straight back down to the reef. And as I was swimming up to try and get a breath, I was doing those involuntary, when you're going like that. And I was like, shit, I got to get a breath now. And then all of a sudden I was at the bottom. And it was really scary, but the scariest time of my life. And meanwhile, there was a woman on a boat, and she was filming the whole ordeal. My board was like, they call it tombstoning, where you can only see half your board, and then there's a leash, right, and you're connected to the bottom, and the board was like this, you can only see half the board for and the next wave passed me by, and my board was still like that for over a minute. It was like a minute and 10 seconds. It way too long.
Wow, it's hard to hold your breath for a minute just doing nothing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Holding your breath for a minute while you're struggling, and also your adrenaline's kicking in. You're freaking out, and you're realizing that you got to get some air soon.
Oh yeah, and that's when that's the whole thing is learning about breath hold. The whole thing that speeds up your breath hold is or I should say shortening your breath hold is panicking.
Yeah.
Once if you're able to stay calm and know that you're going to be okay, you don't use up your breath very very fast. But if you start to panic, it's like flooring the gas, and it just speeds up the whole thing. And so panicking is the last thing that you want to do. But when you're really terrified, that's what happens to everybody.
There's a big connection between jiu-jitsu and surfing. A lot of people that I know that love jiu-jitsu also love surfing, and they do it all the time.
Same.
And that breath thing is something that comes into play in both situations, because if you're in a bad position, like if someone's choking you or something like that, you can relax and stay calm and kind of barely get out of things. Whereas if you freak out and you start hyperventilating or panicking, you just have to tap. You run out of gas, you run out of air, and then the choke sinks in deeper. And some people are just really good at surfing, and for some reason that, like Hickson Gracie's a famous example. He's really good at yoga, which is also really big for controlling your breath and staying calm and regulating your heart rate. And then he's also, obviously a master at jiu-jitsu, but he loves surfing. And I think in some way those things are kind of connected, that you have to maintain some sort of control over your physical body.
Yeah, for sure. And I think knowing how long you can hold your breath, especially under pressure, especially with a high heart rate, is the key. I did a breath holding course. It was actually specifically tailored to surviving big waves. This course I did was 4 days long, and the first couple days they just kind of taught us the science behind a breath hold, and how to get your breath hold up. And then they basically worked our way up to our highest static hold. And then from there, we had to hold our breath for a quarter of that time under stress.
So when you take a breath hold course, what are they teaching?
Just the science of, behind how some people can hold their breath for a long time and some people can't. And, the difference between it's basically psychological. It's all in your mind.
Really?
Oh yeah. It definitely is. I mean, if you think you can hold your breath for, if right now you tried to hold your breath and you could only make it a minute, for sure you can hold your breath for 3. 100%. It's all in your mind. If you believe that you're going to be fine, it just, your body tells you that you need to breathe. For that course, I think the first day I tried to hold my breath, and I'm in relatively good shape, and I never ever practiced holding my breath at all. But I have pretty good lung capacity because I was training all the time, especially at that time. The longest I could hold my breath the first day was 2 minutes and 15 seconds or something like that. And then by the end of day 3, I was holding it for 5 minutes and 34 seconds.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So it's just techniques and understanding.
Yeah, it's all technique.
What is the world record? Wasn't that fucking magician guy? Didn't he break the world record?
He did 17 minutes or something like that. I'll pull.
Yeah.
But didn't he do something weird where he sucked in pure oxygen or some cheating bullshit?
It's night and day.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It's basically twice. I think it gives you like, from what I think that's about twice as long as like a world record holder can actually hold their breath.
Oh.
I think he was packing oxygen. It's totally different. He was breathing up with pure oxygen for like a long time. And it totally, it's basically like, it like doubles your breath hold.
Yeah, there it goes. 17 minutes and 4.4 seconds.
It's badass.
It's pretty incredible, even with the oxygen.
No matter how you slice it, that's a long ass time to not breathe.
So he held the record for oxygen-assisted static apnea, which means holding your breath while breathing after breathing pure oxygen.
That would be super handy for my job.
Pure oxygen?
No, being able to hold your breath for 17 minutes.
Fuck yeah, man. You'd be like, fuck these waves. These waves ain't got shit on me.
I'm just going to swim to the bottom and kick it.
Have you seen that product that they came up with? It's a bullshit fake product, but apparently people have spent like $1 million on this thing trying to buy it. It's a fake, like a gill machine. They came up with this thing that allows you to breathe. It's total bullshit. It's fake. But there was like these ads saying that it allows you to breathe underwater, and it looks like a scuba mouthpiece, but it's just got it looks like 2 tampons on each side.
Oh, God.
And this stupid thing doesn't work at all. It doesn't do anything. But apparently it's this giant scam. And there was this article about how people have spent like all this money on this fake thing that doesn't even exist.
It's crazy what people
will buy.
That's it right
there.
It's absolutely nuts what people actually buy.
This oxygen masks allows underwater breathing without oxygen tanks, but it's total bullshit. So I don't understand where the money went or how it. See if you can find an article of like what the fuck went wrong. But
is it supposed to be like sucking oxygen out of the ocean?
Yeah, like how ridiculous is that? Like people thought that they were fish. Oh yeah, that's all you need is this thing. You breathe in through those and you pull out through that, but it's a total scam. It's
and
like
if you order in the next 59 seconds, we're going to throw a second one in for half the price.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would be cool if someone could come up with something like that, but that's just not how it works. It is bizarre, though, that there are things that breathe air out of the water. They can find a way to suck air out of the water. Like, life is very bizarre if you look at it that way.
Yeah, very bizarre.
And then you pull them onto the deck of the boat, and they're like,
yeah. And then you put us underwater, and it's the opposite. We start panicking immediately.
Yeah. So the shark thing, what did they attribute it to anything? The reason why they've been biting more people lately?
Yeah, it's super debatable, though.
Like a global warming type thing?
Yeah, there's all types of stuff like that. There's a lot less fish than there used to be. And then the other thing is, the thing I think is a huge component is like in the 60s, if someone got bit, they would do a shark call. People will get pissed, some little girl will get bit, and then all the fishing boats would go out and kill a ton of sharks. And that's what happened in Hawaii. There was, I think in the 60s, there was some shark attacks, and there was a huge shark call. Like people would just go out and kill as many sharks as they could. And so it decimated the shark populations in Hawaii. And then they were protected in like the 70s and 80s. So now there's this mega shark population because they're protected. You're not really supposed to kill sharks, so there's an overabundance of big sharks.
I wonder if people would be the same if there was dragons. Would we protect dragons? We're retarded.
Yes.
We really are retarded.
For sure we would, 100%.
Like, you're not going to wipe out the fucking sharks, folks. Just relax. Just kill them all around where people are.
Yeah, it's crazy that they figured out, technology for every single thing, but they don't have some sort of, I was thinking it'd be so, with in this day and age, like we can do the craziest shit with technology. Like why can't they put buoys around a surf break with like some weird magnetic thing that shoots down to the bottom of the ocean at that, where it's like 30 feet deep, like a half mile out from the break. And then everyone can swim there, everyone can surf there, whatever the hell it is. Like how come they don't have that? It seems so basic.
It does seem like something they could figure out how to do, like some sort of an electronic fence that keeps them out.
Yeah, like they have that for your dog.
Yeah.
You can put that in your yard and the dog can't go past it.
But it'll probably give you dick cancer. They'll probably find out.
Shark dick.
Yeah, all these surfers will start getting dick cancer. And everybody go, what the fuck? Oh, it's the fence. It's the fence.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we can't put up the magnetic fence because all the sharks will get dick cancer, and then
Yeah, if sharks get dick cancer, then PETA will get upset at you.
It's game over.
Yeah, become a huge issue. I'm not a fan of sharks. I don't like them. They scare the fuck out of me, and that's what's keeping me from surfing. Because surfing looks like it's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I see guys like you on those big waves. I don't know about the big waves. That's beyond me, I believe. Even when I was young, I don't think I would ever like this kind of shit. I'm not designed for that.
That's not fun looking?
Nope. That's not me. We're looking at for people who are listening. We're looking at an image. Is that you? Who is that?
That's me.
Oh, Jesus, dude. Tell me about this.
It looks like I'm falling off a building, doesn't it?
It looks like you're falling off several buildings stacked on top of each other.
I'll tell you what, that actual moment right there, it actually felt like I was falling off a building. I was absolutely sure I was eating shit right there. So.
And you didn't?
I didn't. Yeah, it was a miracle. I actually fell from the top and landed on my board and made the wave. And it was a big wave at a wave off the north coast of Maui called Jaws. Yeah.
How high is that wave?
Probably 50 feet on the face. Maybe more. Maybe 60.
So you're falling off the top of the wave, like it breaks, and you're coming over the lip? Or the mount? What would you call it? What do you call the edge of the wave?
Yeah,
like that?
Yeah,
call
the
it
lip. Yeah, I'm falling from the lip. But the cool thing is you're doing it with your hands, like you're doing it with your bare hands. Like this wave comes in and you have to read the wave, you have to time it, you have to position yourself. So you have to catch it in the steepest part right before it throws over like that, because if it throws over, you're eating shit. So, you got to, it's so precise, to be able to time it on a giant wave like that, especially like the bigger the wave is, the faster it moves. So it gets really, really technical. So, if you successfully ride one of those waves, it's a lot of fun.
I would imagine it gets super addictive when you're in that tube and you're slicing through it and you see the water going over the top of you.
Yeah, God. It is. It is so much fun. It's like, it's such a blast. It's super addicting. I've been surfing since I've been surfing on a surfboard standing up since I was 5. On my 5th birthday, I got a surfboard from my dad, and I'm still totally obsessed with it. It's weird. There's nothing else in my life like that where I'm absolutely psyched. Like when the waves are good, I'm like a little kid still.
What is it about it?
Dude, it's like hunting. It really is. It's like I'm out in nature. No one's bothering me. I don't need to talk to anybody. I can go do my own thing. I can go down the beach, no matter how shitty of a day I had, no matter how much stress, whatever. Like if my kid's getting a bad report card or I had to pay my taxes or whatever the hell it was, I can just put on my trunks, drive down to the beach, grab my board, and I'm good. As soon as I hit the water, I'm fine. And that's how I am with bow hunting. And people who don't bow hunt, they don't understand that. They're like, why the hell do you do that? Like, what do you find, what do you find good about that? Like being out in the forest for days at a time. It's the same thing.
Well, I've never surfed, but the bow hunting thing is so difficult and so primal. And I think it hits some weird ancient switches inside your DNA from back when people needed a bow and arrow to survive. And when you were hunting an animal, it's so primitive. Like there's something about rifle hunting that's not nearly as satisfying. Rifle hunting it's all exciting and it's way more effective, and you certainly have you have more success and there's more range to it and all that. But it's not nearly the same feeling. There's a switch that goes off that I think is like a part of being a human being from the thousands of years of us shooting bows and arrows at things to stay alive. That reward is like triggered somehow or another deep inside whatever it is that makes you a person. Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's it all comes down to the moment of truth. You work so hard for that opportunity, whatever it is, an elk or a deer or whatever the hell it is, and you bust your ass and you're on your hands and knees in the hot sun, or you're over there freezing your ass off in the dark waiting for it to get light, and you pack all your shit from the trailhead for miles and all this hard work and all the thousands of arrows you shoot at your target, and then all of a sudden it comes down to this millisecond where the elk stops in front of you.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there at full draw, and it's like the moment of the truth, It's super technical and really difficult, and a lot of people suck at it, and that's why it's so rad.
Yeah, it's very technical, and that is something that I just never took into account when I saw people shooting bows and arrows. I'm like, your left arm straight, your right arm pulls back, you make sure you aim, you let it go, and it seems like kind of like a rifle. With a rifle, what do? You center the reticle, you squeeze the trigger, make sure you don't jerk it, you're good.
Yeah.
there's so much more involved in the anchoring of where the string hits the corner of your mouth, where your hand rests below your jaw, making sure that your elbow's not too low, not too high, your back muscles are pulling.
And remembering all that stuff in the moment.
Yeah.
And getting to full draw.
Yeah.
That is the hard part. That's the big difference, you know. I mean, that's the main difference. Is like once that animal's in range, you still have to get to full draw.
Yeah,
and you don't have a crossbow, and you're not sitting there like this waiting without making any motion. You actually have to go full draw and somehow do that undetected, without the animal getting alert or freaked out or running away.
Yeah, it's a crazy little addiction, isn't it?
It is. Very, very crazy.
And it's also, I was watching.
My wife would agree with you.
Mine would too. I was watching a video of you. You were grilling some steaks, I think it was axis deer at your house, and you were talking about it, like this, like the connection that you have to your food. Like you went and you found that animal. You know that is a wild animal. Yeah. That animal was just living like they've been living for hundreds of thousands of years, just eating grasses and staying away from predators. And you snuck up on it and you placed an arrow right in its vitals perfectly and cut it up and brought it home and now you're eating it. And there's this insane connection to your food when you do something like that.
Yeah. Well, especially when you look around, your family's eating it.
Yeah.
Like my kid, I have little kids, and they're sitting there with deer on their fork.
Yeah.
And they're eating it like, Dad brought this home. It's awesome. I think it's cool, you know? Like, I don't know. There's just something so much more satisfying about eating food that you grew or killed or whatever it was, you know what I mean? It's so cool when someone has an awesome garden at their house. They busted their ass, and they know exactly where that food came from. It only touched their hands, and they ate it. You know, it's the same thing, and it's even more so when you spend all that time in the mountains and you know, you bring it home and you care for that meat, make sure it's not dirty, make sure it's not spoiled, make sure it's taken care of perfectly. Like you go in my freezer, and I'm like I'm actually kind of a slob in a lot of like different areas of my life. Like I don't make my bed a lot of times or whatever it is, but man, when it comes to the meat, it's like perfect, total nerd alert. Like you go in, it's like everything's packaged perfectly, everything's a perfect size, everything's like itemized, like cut, date, animal, species, you know. It's pretty
well, there's a deep respect for that animal that I don't think people who just buy their meat at a grocery store, I don't think they could ever understand it. I think you can kind of intellectualize it and you can kind of imagine what it's like, but I don't think you could ever really understand it.
Well, and I can relate to that because I wasn't always a hunter. You know, I wasn't brought up a hunter. I didn't come from a hunting family. Nobody in my family ever hunted.
When did you start?
So it was all new to me. I started when I was 30, and I'm 43.
So what was it that got you going?
I moved from the beach where I lived my whole life up to the mountains, and I bought a piece of property, and everything I planted got dug up by wild pigs. So there's wild boars all over the property, and my wife started getting pissed, and I didn't know what to do. I wanted to plant fruit trees and all this stuff, and everything was getting knocked over and smashed by all the pigs. And so my buddy was like, dude, shoot him with a gun and, you know, shoot a couple and they'll beat it. And so he gave me this shotgun or whatever. And I shot one with a shotgun and immediately gave it back to him. I was like, I'm not a gun guy. I'm not into the loud noises, and I just was over it. So I gave it back. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I should need to fence my property. I didn't want to do that, you know, because I didn't want to like mess up their like natural pattern either. You know, they were there long before I was, and my next door neighbor was a bow hunter. He had an extra bow, so I would go over to his house and have a couple beers and shoot arrows. And once I could group some arrows, he said I was ready to go hunting, and he took me boar hunting. And the first night, all these pigs were there, and I totally blew it. I got to full draw, and my arrow fell off the rest, and ding ding ding, and they all ran. I made a bunch of noise, but that was it. The next day I went and bought a used Matthews bow down at the, like down at the bow shop. And, you know, I started building tree stands by my house and, you know, trying to like throw bait down for the pigs to come. I didn't know the hell I was doing. I didn't know any bow hunters. And so it was cool. Yeah.
So it's all like self-taught.
It was, yeah. I started with a good friend of mine at home at the same time. I didn't really have any super close friends that were bow hunters, but it's funny because soon after I started bow hunting, then I realized I did know a bunch of bow hunters, and I like immediately had a really cool circle of friends that were all experienced bow hunters, and they kind of took me in and taught me, you know, what to do, what equipment to use, and you know, how to hunt, and then I had like mentors in hunting that like really taught me how to hunt, like how to kill animals.
Well, Hawaii's an amazing place for bow hunting, and a lot of people would never imagine
it
that.
is. It's amazing.
Between axis deer and mountain goats and all kinds of other crazy shit that you guys, and the pig population. Yeah. Pigs were brought over there like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, right?
Yeah, it was a Captain Cook thing.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was really no animals in Hawaii. Every single thing there is introduced except for like bugs and some birds, you know. So the deer, the pigs, the goats, the sheep, everything was all introduced. So you go out in the mountains and there's lots and lots of different, you know, a lot of different animals out there, and they're all introduced and they're all considered pests.
Wow. So it's a lot like New Zealand in that sort of a way, because New Zealand has an incredible amount of wild game, but it's all introduced, and they did it back hundreds of years ago again when Europeans wanted it as a hunting destination. So they brought over stags and European animals and axis deer and all these things and just let them loose with no predators.
Yeah. That's right.
So their populations just exploded.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the same in Hawaii.
What is it like over in New Zealand? Because when you look at the Lord of the Rings, you know, that's all I know about New Zealand. I know Kim.com lives there and the Lord of the Rings, and people go over there to hunt.
It's very much like that. I hunted there this year, and we hunted in some places that, like, I didn't even hunt. All I did was like take pictures and stare at the mountains. It was mind-boggling how incredibly beautiful it was. We were hunting these mountain goats called tar. They're from the Himalayas. They're these hairy goats with this big giant sable fur thing and really small horns, and they live in like these glaciers and these like vertical cliffs. They'd be like 1,000-foot cliff at the top of like a 5,000-foot mountain of like a granite cliff with like a little step ledge in it that's like 6 inches wide, and that's where the tar would be standing. One tar just be standing there
Look at
all
that
day
thing.
long. Yeah, they're badass creatures. They
It
really
doesn't even
are.
look real.
Try and go kill one of those things with a bow on public land and send me the picture, and I'll hail you forever. They are hard to kill with a bow. I tell you that much.
Did you get one?
I didn't. I saw one. I was with Remy, who's a friend of yours, right?
Yeah. Remy Warren?
Yeah, I was with Remy Warren, and we spotted one. And it's not like, you know, like where I come from, like you go hunt axis deer, you could see 1,000 deer.
What?
In a morning. Yes.
Where?
Mark my words, dude.
Where
You're
is
going to see
this?
them soon. On Lanai.
Holy
On Lanai,
shit.
you will see 1,000 deer in a day. Yeah.
That's insane.
So I'm used to going out and seeing like tons of pigs and goats and deer and stuff like that. I went to New Zealand and hunted these tar, and I'm standing there with Remy at the bottom of this valley, and we're camping in the backcountry, and we're glassing, we don't see anything, so we drive like half a mile, glass, and we're totally in the backcountry. We're driving straight up a river, like deep in a river. We got like a one of those like land cruisers with a snorkel. We're in the middle of nowhere. It's not like these animals are under radical pressure, and all of a sudden we see one. There's a tar, and it's at the top of this mountain, 5,000 vertical feet, 5 miles straight up hill,
or 1 mile, right?
Well, I don't know, whatever the hell it was. It's vertical.
5,000?
It's vertical.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's 5,000 vertical feet, but you're looking at it, and it looks like it's right there, but it's vert.
Right.
It takes you 4 hours to walk there because it's vertical.
Yeah.
And, we saw it at like, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon, and it got dark at like 6. So he's like, dude, we have 3 hours. We need to close the gap. We need to kill that tar today before dark. So we're literally like, quote unquote, running up the mountain as fast as you possibly could. And he's in pretty good shape. Remy is.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he's a beast. That's what he does. He lives in the mountains all the time. So he's used to that.
They did one of those VO2 max tests on him, and he's got like elite triathlon endurance.
Yeah, he's like half human, half tar.
Yeah.
And so we closed the gap to about, 900 yards, and then it got dark. And then walked back down 5 hours in the dark. So, yeah.
Well, it's fucking exhausting.
It's not for pussies.
You don't realize like how hard it is to get up one of those mountains until you try it, and you go, oh. Like you think, I'm in good shape. I work out. I go to the gym. I'm on the elliptical machine.
Yeah.
This is going to be no problem. I'm not one of these fat guys.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's fucking hard. It's really hard. And it'll help, like being light helps too. Light and thin where you're not carrying around a lot of weight.
Yeah.
But guys like Remy and Steve Ranella and the guys that do that all the time, like they will embarrass you with how out of shape you are just walking up hills. You're just
keeping them at your rate.
Yeah.
It's like you're slowing them down all the time.
Yeah.
So, it does pay to train, especially like in the mountains like that. Like if you're going to go on a big hunt, it really helps to train a lot.
And now these animals, how the fuck, like I've seen goats like on the side of cliffs where they're walking like along a vertical face, and they're standing on what looks like these little 2-inch outcroppings, and they're walking along on those. Like, how the fuck do they do that? Like, how are they designed? Like, what kind of evolutionary advantage to like walking along the side of a cliff face like that has led them to be this bizarre beast? Like, most people don't think about them, like what their capabilities are. They can do like really strange shit, like as far as their balance and how they can make it up the side of a cliff. Like, look at these fuckers. Yeah. Like, look at that.
That's exactly how the tar were, dude.
We're looking at something that just doesn't even look real. We're looking at these goats that are walking along the face of this cliff, and the cliff is almost 90 degrees. It's almost up and down. And these things are somehow or another finding footholds where their whole body, like the side of their body, is slammed up against the side of the mountain, and they're making it up this cliff.
And they're not forced to be on that cliff. That's the craziest thing. Like when I was hunting those goats in New Zealand, those tar, just below where they were, there was like these rolling hills, like really steep still, but it was like rolling hills with grass. They choose to be on the rocks because they actually eat some weird stuff that grows on those vertical cliffs. So wild.
What are they eating?
I was tripping balls the whole time. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The animal's not forced to be there. He's choosing to be on that like 6-inch wide ledge, 1,000 feet on a vertical cliff.
Oh, look at that fucking, but we're looking at this picture, folks. Jamie, what was the Google search if someone's listening?
Just like climbing goat.
This picture that we're looking at now, there's probably like 8 of them, and they're on the side of this mountain, and it just doesn't even look real. And the tar, they don't look real as it is. They look like some sort of a mythical creature from some ancient Greek novel.
They do. It's really hard to appreciate how hardcore that kind of hunting is unless you do it. I think that like 90. I'm gonna piss people off when I say this, but like 98% of the hunting that happens in America is like park your truck, walk to your tree stand, get in the tree stand, play words with friends until the deer comes underneath the tree stand, get to full draw, and you got your tag filled, and which is great. I'm sure it's a blast, and I like tree stands and all that stuff, but that kind of hunting is just like it's weird how hunting is like clumped in to like, oh, you're a hunter. And that's all people sort of need to know. There's like so many different kinds of hunting and so many different ways to do it, different weapons, different approaches, different, it's like crazy. Like some people are shooting animals at 1,500 yards with high-powered rifles.
Yeah.
They want to be as far as possible. That's the goal. And for us, it's like we want to be as close as possible.
That long range stuff is very strange because there's a lot of ethical questions that come up with that. Because any movement whatsoever at 1,500 yards, I mean, you have to be like a real fucking expert marksman to pull something like that off. So there's a lot of dick wagging going on when you're killing something at like 700, 800, 1,000 yards. It's weird. It's like you don't really have to do that. Like you could get closer to that animal.
I think that's the goal, though.
Yeah.
The goal is to anybody can get to 200 yards from any animal. I don't care what animal it is. If you can't get to 200 yards, you got major problems. If you can get to 100 yards, I mean, even from like an antelope, you can belly crawl your way in the middle of nowhere to 100 yards from antelope.
Yeah, especially if you have one of those ghillie suits. Remy has this show called...
You just move super slow.
Yeah. Have you seen Remy's show? It's called Apex Predator.
I haven't seen that one, no.
Really good show. And it's really interesting because Remy's a really good athlete, and he's also just a really smart guy. And what he does is he tries to mimic all of the behavior of predatory animals, like wolves, and he'll do like him and a bunch of his friends were doing some sort of like a chase the same way that a wolf would chase down an elk.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he did was he put on a ghillie suit and he crawled up to these antelope and just slowly creeped his way up to these antelope. And as long as you're patient and you move slow, like he got within like 7 feet of fucking antelope.
As long as you go slow enough.
Yeah.
That's a mistake I make all the time. When I blow a stock, it's almost always because I went too fast.
Yeah.
And no matter how slow you go, you should almost always go slower.
Well, one of the things that I found out recently, you know who Randy Ulmer is?
Yeah.
Famous bow hunter. Yeah. It's like probably one of the most successful bow hunters ever. He shoots most of his animals with no shoes on.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, he takes his boots off and he's got just thick wool socks and he just walks. He just creeps
Oh, yeah.
Nice and slow. And that's one of the reasons why he's so successful. He realized, like, okay, you can't just be walking around with these fucking clunky boots and snapping twigs and shit like that. And so he feels everything underneath him. And it's just like, have you ever been around a bear, like when a bear's walking through the woods?
No, not really.
They don't make any noise.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy. Like, there's this big-ass fucking 300-pound bear, and it's not making a single sound as it's walking because they have soft pads, and they're predators. So they're just fucking creeping. You know, and that's kind of like the idea of the approach. Just creep inch by inch.
Yeah. Bears blow my mind, too, because, you know, I'm from Hawaii, so I don't even know anything. I know nothing about bears. So I think they're all like Yogi Bear, you know, like they're coming to grab like your jam and like, hang out and camp with you. You know, they want a hug or something like that. And man, I went hunting. I did a do-it-yourself over-the-counter tag elk hunt with my buddy from Hawaii, and we were in Colorado. And we hiked into this area, and we're all excited. And we didn't know shit about elk hunting. I didn't know how to call them. I didn't know what they did. I didn't know how they worked. I read some articles. I didn't know what the hell was going on. So we drop off our stuff, and we got about an hour to hunt, and then we're going to come back and set up our little camp there at like a creek. So I do a big loop. I come back a little bit early. I'm like, I'm going to set up my tent and stuff. And I get to one side of the creek, and my friend's across the creek setting up his tent and getting like our food out, like salami and like whatever else kind of food we had. And I was just about to like yell out to him, like, hey, did you see anything? I was like maybe 60 yards away from him. And I look to my left, and there's a bear, a big black bear, standing on his hind legs. It looked like one of those targets, you know, those big old targets you shoot. One of those things. And he was just staring at my friend. He had no idea I was there. The bear didn't know I was there. And then my friend had no idea the bear was there. He's sitting there like butt crack, hanging out, like getting all the food out. And this bear's just staring at him from across the creek.
Oof.
It was radical. And I just immediately knocked an arrow and just like sat there. And then the bear saw me and then looked at my friend, looked at me, looked at my friend. And then there was this vertical mountain right behind him. We were at the bottom of this creek. And the bear thought about it and then just turned around and just hightailed it straight up this mountain like he was on flat ground. It was crazy. And my friend never even saw him.
Yeah, that story that you were telling before the podcast started, tell that fucking story.
Yeah, that made me really even more scared of bears.
Yeah, tell that story.
Yeah, so it was a few years ago. I read this story on a bow hunting magazine, and it was a story about this guy and his son, and they were hunting elk. I'm not sure which state, but the son was in the front, and he was set up, and the dad was in the back, probably 60 yards back, and the dad was cow calling, and there was a bull there, and he was starting to come into the call, and so the kid was standing there waiting for his shot, and the dad was sitting there cow calling behind him, and all of a sudden the elk runs off, and they thought the wind had waffled on him or something, and right behind the elk, like 50 yards past the elk, was a giant grizzly bear standing straight up, staring at him. And the kid started getting nervous. The bear started hightailing it straight at the kid. And the kid turned and started running at the dad. And as the kid and the dad went to full draw, he had a bow. It was archery season. He had no gun. So the dad grabbed his bow, got an arrow on, somehow had the clarity to get to full draw. As the kid passed his dad, the dad made a perfect shot on the bear. The bear right then catches up to the kid, dives on the kid, and starts mauling him, and ends up dying on the kid. And there was a picture in the article. It was incredible. There's a picture in the magazine of the kid, and he's covered head to toe in blood. The bear died on him with like a heart shot, blood all over him. So the kid had like bear blood.
Is that the photo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's so gnarly, dude.
Oh my God.
It's just the only picture they have.
What is how do you find this, Jamie? If somebody wants to.
Called Dad Zero Saves Son from Grizzly Attack.
Dude.
And Outdoor Life.
Fuck.
It's a heavy article, man. It's no joke. And the perspective from the dad, you know, it's like, can you imagine? I mean, I have kids, and I can't even imagine, like, you know, what kind of mental state you'd be in if you saw a giant bear chasing after your kid.
That dad's a bad motherfucker. Do you keep it together?
Yeah.
Whew, that gives me the nerves, the jillies, the whatever the fuck it is. My goosebumps are popping up. I saw a grizzly when I was in Alberta, black bear hunting a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
They look at you so different, man. Black bears are creepy enough, you know. And Ranella was telling me a story about this guy who first trip ever hunting. gets attacked in his tent by a 500-pound predatory black bear. His friend shoots the bear.
Screw that.
The bullet goes through the bear and hits his friend in the wrist. So this kid, first black bear hunt ever, first camping trip out. He's going in the woods like, this is going to be great. We're going to get to hang out with nature. Yeah. A bear tries to eat him, and his friend shoots him. They killed the bear. They wound up killing the bear. But black bears are scary, but they're nothing like grizzlies. This grizzly looked at us, and they look at you like demons.
Yeah.
They have a total different look in their eye. Like there's nothing going on back there. Yeah. It's just dead kill machine.
Yeah. They don't feel bad when they eat you.
Feel
they're
awesome.
Eating your guts.
Awesome.
They're just like, it's super delicious right now.
Oh yeah, you could be screaming.
It's great.
Yeah, it's weird. People are so strange. Our detachment from wildlife that when you're actually around them, even just around an elk, like when you're around an elk and elk are calling and they're making those crazy sounds, you're like, what the fuck? Is this real?
It's crazy when they're fighting too. Oh yeah, over the girls.
Yeah,
that blows my mind. Like hunting deer or elk in the rut and seeing them fight over the girls is the best. The best. And seeing like the one that loses gets his ass kicked and he kind of like just walks off like, oh gosh, I just got my ass kicked. And then the bull or the big dog who wins, he's on. That's his whole harem. His whole harem full of girls, and he's just like, I'm the badass, you know.
And he just gets his fuck on.
Yeah, and you got to breed them all, you know.
I was in California at Tejon Ranch last year, and these two huge elk were smashing horns. They were like both like 360 class elk, which is like for people listening, just enormous antlers, 6 points on each side. 1,000-pound animals just running at each other, headbutting each other and stabbing each other. And while we were there, they found one enormous bull that had been killed by another bull, been stabbed in the side and punctured his lungs, and it was just laying there, jacked, enormous bull.
Yeah, it's the coolest. It's the coolest. Just seeing them like act like how they're supposed to be in nature, how they've been doing it for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. It's just nuts to just to be a part of that and see it.
Yeah, it is, and it's almost like when we were talking about the goats being able to walk up the side of these cliffs. Like these animals, they've evolved to develop horns that are swords. They have like spears growing out of their fucking head,
and they know it.
Yeah,
they're well aware of that, and they're trying to kill the other one because they're so hopped up, and they were just hanging with that guy a few weeks ago. Yeah. They were hanging out, feeding out in the grass.
And they'll hang out with him again if he survives.
They will.
Yeah,
they'll hang out, but
they
not
make
right
these
then.
bachelor groups.
Yeah, they get pissed.
Did you see that video of the lady in Yellowstone that was like, hello, elk.
No.
Hello.
No.
Hello, my friend. I'm your buddy.
Oh, man.
And this elk just fucking headbutts this bitch and sends her flying.
Are you serious?
She went flying.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was that Grizzly Man movie? Did you see that thing?
It's awesome.
Yeah,
I've seen it about 10 times.
If you don't see that, you're tripping. It's so good.
I'm trying to get Werner Herzog to, his people contacted me, the director of it, to be on the podcast. I'm going to try, look at this. She's like, hello, Mr.
That shit's
elk.
almost like a comedy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I watched like that Grizzly Man movie,
Ma'am?
I felt like it was a comedy.
The guy's warning her.
Could you please?
Oh.
Yeah.
Boom!
Yes.
Is that on video?
Yes.
He goes, did you get that on video?
That shit's gonna go viral, honey.
Listen to her.
I'm just going to tell you, you're too close to that elk, and that's why. 25 yards, ma'am.
It's been a long time. Thank you, sir.
I'm totally used to these elk. I'm out here every year.
It's 25 yards. That's funny. He's got like a number in his head that you have to be 25 yards from them.
Yeah, and then you're totally safe.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah, no problem.
You're super safe.
Please, if they decide 50 yards to make a mad dash you, he's got a boner and this chick got scared off and he decides it's you that scared her off, and just go spear you. They have no problem. Do you see the one where there's a guy who was like sitting on the side of the road as a photographer? There's a real recent one, and they actually had wound up euthanizing the elk because this elk fucked with this dude for like, the video's like 10 minutes long. The elk's like just like headbutting this guy, and the guy's sitting there trying to cover his head. It's a spike, a real young bull, and this photographer's just hanging there, and this bull starts headbutting him. And the guy's just decided to just play passive.
This is it?
Yeah. But this goes on forever, man. And this bull just kind of, it's not sure what to do because he's a really young bull. You're looking at that bull. A spike is like what, a year old?
It's funny how they get so smart so quick.
Yeah.
You know, it's like at that age when it's like a yearling bull, like a little spike, they're pretty stupid. You know, they come to any call and they're kind of spaced out. They don't really know what a human looks like. But man, once they turn into like 6x6, they are not dumb.
Yeah, they get turned on.
Yeah.
But like this elk, I think I could kill that elk with my hands.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
I'd
I
like to
could
see you try.
get a hold of those antlers. I spin around, take his back.
Yeah. Rear naked choke.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I get his back and he's fucking done, man.
Yeah, it'd be fun to try for sure.
Meanwhile, he would
Look at the back straps in that guy.
He would ride off with me.
He would load up the barbecue.
He would. I would
He'd fill your freezer.
Oh yeah. Well, those are the most delicious ones.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
actually can kill one that's really young like that, they're really tender. The same with deer. You know, everybody wants to shoot, but that's the thing about elk. They're so delicious that even the old ones, the old tough bulls, they taste amazing. It's the best meat you could eat.
It's funny because I feel like super remorseful when I get an animal on the ground, no matter what it is. No matter if it's like an elk or a deer or a pig or whatever. I get this weird feeling when I walk up. Like I don't feel bad. I just feel like just this like heavy connection with that animal, you know, like I took its life. That was my choice, you know, like I could have let it walk.
Right.
But at the same time, like if it's like a younger deer, I'll smoke it, you know, because those are really good eating.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm out there trying to. It's funny. I don't have a list of animals in my head that I need to get. Are you one of those guys where you're like, hey,
No.
I need to kill a mountain goat, I need to get a stone sheep, I need to get a zebra, I need to
I
get.
find that weird, man. There's a show that I watch. You ever seen that Tom Miranda's adventure bowhunter
I don't
show?
have television, dude. I'm like a Wookiee in the mountains.
You don't have a TV?
I don't have TV.
Wow.
I got like Netflix on my computer.
There's a lot of these guys they're into the super slams, you know,
Yeah.
which means
Oh,
that
yeah.
all the North American game animals, and that just seems like a fetish to me. It gets real bizarre. It's like I think you're losing sight of what this thing is supposed to be all about.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with however anyone, you know, if someone's into getting lions or whatever, that's their trip. You know, I'm not going to judge them, but that's not me.
Yeah.
I don't have a list of animals at all. If I just hunted mule deer and elk for the rest of my life and axis deer, I would be good.
Yeah.
I could hunt all year long and never get bored with those three animals.
I feel weird about bears. Bears are the ones that weird me out the most. Like killing a bear and eating it. First of all, it's really like one of the best animals, like from a conservation standpoint. It's one of the best animals to kill because they don't have any predators. And so if you don't kill them, the only thing that kills bears is other bears. Yeah. So they, like where we hunt in Alberta, there's a giant population. I mean, it's not uncommon to see 20, 30 bears in a day. Yeah. It's really, really overflowing with bears.
It's like a public service to get, like to take a few bears.
Well, it decimates not just the moose population, the deer population, but the crazy thing is it's bad for the bear population for there to be this many bears because the boars eat cubs. Yeah. Like they're a weird animal. Like elk don't eat elk. Yeah. But bears, like, they're predatory, man.
Yeah, they just go for an easy meal.
There was an article recently that I posted today on Twitter that they're finding that grizzlies are going towards people when they have cubs, and it's super fucking dangerous. But the mama bears are realizing that when they're around people, that the big boars won't kill their cubs as much. Right. So here it is. Brown bears are using human shields to protect their cubs. But it's incredibly dangerous for people because when you're around a mama bear and she's got cubs, she'll fuck you up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to get near one of those.
There's another one that I retweeted yesterday, some woman who was in a marathon. She was running a marathon in New Mexico, and she ran past a mama bear with her cubs, and the mama bear just decided to fuck her up. Yeah. Just beat the shit out of her, cut her up, ripped her apart, and she just played dead. And, she's really jacked, and there's a picture of her all scarred up. And, the bear left her alone, and then some other marathon runners came over and saw her huddled up in the fetal position, all fucking covered in blood.
That's a life changer right there.
Oh, yeah.
How's the meat?
Bear meat is really good.
It's good?
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions about bear meat. Well, apparently grizzlies are nasty. Yeah. Especially if you get a coastal grizzly that's eating salmon all the time.
And there's a difference between fall bears and spring bears, right? Like the taste of them. I heard I forget which one, but I heard one is a little bit better than the other.
Fall's supposed to be the best because the fall bears are eating berries. I've only killed spring bears, but spring bears taste really good.
Yeah.
And so, like I was saying, like from an ecological standpoint and from a conservation standpoint, it's probably one of the most important animals to kill, other than say white-tailed deer, because there's so 2 million or so. What is it? What was the number? Like 1.5 million car accidents in the United States alone. 200 people die in the United States every year from hitting deer with their cars.
That's the thing is people are so like quick to point the finger, like, I can't believe you'd kill a bear. You can't believe it, but they just can't wrap their head around the fact that they need to be. Those numbers get so out of control.
Yeah.
And the world's never going back to how it is before we lived where the bears live, you know?
Right. That argument's a weird argument. You're in their land.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Like, and I get it. That's fine, but it doesn't matter. That point's invalid because all the people live there.
Yeah.
And when there's millions of bears running around, it's not good for them either, you know?
But even knowing that, I still feel weird when I kill a bear. It just, they're so much like a dog almost. They're like an enormous big dog. I think they're cool. You know, they're cool animals. I like looking at them.
I still want to hug them. I still want to. What was that show when we were kids?
Grizzly Adams?
Grizzly Adams, and he had that that was his best friend. I wanted to be Grizzly Adams so bad, dude. It wasn't the beard or the hat or anything. I just wanted to hang out and spoon that bear every day. I think it was so awesome. It's
there
funny.
he is.
There
Look
he
at
is,
him.
Grizzly
That
Adams.
guy had the original hipster beard.
I used to have that guy would get so many chicks right now in Venice.
I know, right? He was just fucking owning it.
Yeah, he would.
Look at him. He's lifting
yoked.
weights. I didn't know he was yoked.
Looks like he got a grizzly bear in his chest.
Is that dude still alive?
Oh, man. Grizzly Adams.
It says death. It's right there. It says death. So I would say no.
Yeah, Grizzly. He was so cool. It's funny. I had a...
he just died.
My wife and I... Dan Haggerty. My wife and I got a... Bernese Mountain Dog years ago. Have you seen those? It's like a big Swiss dog.
No.
Awesome. It's related to a Saint Bernard, so it's very similar to a Saint Bernard, but they're not like a slobbering breed. They don't have slobber, so they're really awesome. They have these really cool markings. But mine was like 130 pounds, so it was like a grizzly bear. And I swear I was like living like my childhood dream of being Grizzly Adams, because I'd come home and roll around with my big bear. You know, it was like. He was like a big grizzly bear. He was awesome.
I wonder if that's what did the Grizzly Man in. Like maybe he saw Grizzly Adams when he was a kid. And
either that or he had just a bad batch or something. He's tripping. Dude, I laughed the whole movie.
Oh, yeah, it's a hilarious movie.
Even at the end when he gets wasted by the bear, I thought it was comical.
Well, how about the fucking sheriff?
If anybody had ever been asking for it, it was that dude.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was suicide by bear. I really do.
Yeah.
Because he went back into the area when you're not supposed to be there, when the animals are in hibernation, except for the really desperate ones.
Yeah.
And he knew that they were killing cubs. Like that was like part of the video. He stumbled upon these cubs that this bear had killed. They were starving to death. The rivers had no salmon. They had all dried up. Yeah. There was no salmon run, and it was getting real sketchy. He stuck around.
They've accepted me as one of them.
Yeah.
That was the best, dude. I just died laughing.
Poor
I was
bastard.
like, oh, man. That
Poor
would have been a
bastard.
bad way to go.
When the sheriff talked about it, I thought he was retarded. Yeah, like it is like a comedy.
Yeah,
it is. I think it's a comedy, and I want to talk to Werner Herzog because he's supposed to. We're apparently we're in contact with his people, and we're trying to work something out because he's got something else that he's promoting. But there's no other documentaries that he does that are funny like that.
Yeah,
like that one is fucking funny.
I'm not sure it was meant to be funny, but I
think it is. I feel
as
like
a human being, you have to just like look and be like, you got to be kidding me with this dude. There's some wild people out there, though, for sure.
Timothy Treadwell desperately wanted to be one with the bears.
So good. That shit's gold, dude. It's gold.
I'm protecting these bears. No one's protecting these bears. When he goes in those rants, because he would film himself going on like 3 or 4 different rants, and he would only use like one of them. But some of them he would just start swearing and fuck you, park department. And
where's the lost tapes? I want to get like the lost tapes.
Well, they had a whole series.
Did they really?
They took his tapes and they made a whole series about it. And it was fucking. I mean, he had like hundreds of hours of footage, and he got amazing, unprecedented close-up footage of bears because no one's that fucking stupid.
No, that crazy.
Yeah, you gotta be nuts.
Yeah, and those things were not like close to a town and used to humans. That was like in the middle of nowhere. Those bears were straight up like wild grizzly bears doing wild grizzly bear shit.
Yeah, and he was watching them go to war with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, he got footage from like 20, 30 yards away of these 2 enormous grizzly bears.
He was telling them to stop it, huh?
Yeah. Stop it.
Stop fighting.
Well, that guy was 100% fighting the gay. Like the gay was disturbing him so much, he decided to go camping with monsters. He's like, I can't accept the fact that I'm gay, and so he would like.
He fixed that problem, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Well, he had a girl with him at the time too. And apparently there's audio, and I don't know if they destroyed it, but that was part of the documentary. It lasted 7 minutes.
Oh,
because
man,
bears don't fucking kill you.
minutes.
They just start eating you.
Yeah.
They can hold you down.
They're not trying to kill you. They just want to eat you.
That's a weird thing about omnivores, as opposed to predators. Like predators just kind of kill you, but omnivores, for the most part, you just hold you down. Like chimps just hold things down and eat them.
The whole like thing where we want to like dispatch an animal as quick as possible to stop the suffering. They don't have that part in them. They're just like, you want to scream, go ahead.
Yeah, if you're gonna get jacked by something, a cat is the way to get jacked because cats know how to kill you.
Yeah.
They're really good at it.
Mountain lions be scary, man.
Quick, though.
Yeah.
Scary, but once they get your neck,
you're toast.
it's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But guys fight them off. People fought off mountain lions because I think animals, they have this like tipping point where they go, okay, could I get fucking injured here?
Yeah.
If I can get injured here, I'm gonna back off and go kill something stupid. I'm gonna go fuck someone's dog up or something. You know, because there's like a tipping point where the animal realizes, like, this guy is fighting for his life.
Yeah.
Fuck this. This is too much work.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. You know, and that brings me back to the shark thing. Like that would be like just a horrific way to go. Those things are enormous, and when they want to kill you, they'll kill you.
They just cut right through you. Well, this is a strange animal. It's like nature's cleanup crew. Nature's just decided, like, there's just too much shit in this ocean, and so we're gonna just develop this insane thing that doesn't even get to sleep.
Did you see the footage of the?
Look at that.
Did you see the footage of the surf contest that happened last year in Africa, where the guy, they gets attacked by the shark? That's a good buddy of mine, and that was like a 18 to 20 foot long great white shark.
Yeah, pull that up, Jamie.
And when I was on a plane when that happened, and I was landing in Honolulu, and I turned my phone on and I had like all these crazy messages and from all my friends, because it's just it's a really small world in the surf world, and that was no accident that this giant great white shark was within a couple feet of him. You know?
Look at that.
Like
look at
everyone's like, oh, it wasn't trying to attack him. It didn't mean anything. That great white shark is that close to a human being. It was having a real good look, I think.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It may not have been wanting to attack him or whatever, but it didn't just get accidentally stuck in his leash. You know what I mean?
When you do that...
That right there is as scary as a human being could possibly be without getting killed right then.
Yeah, and he's looking at it. It's behind him.
And he's swimming.
That's it right there, right? That's it in front of him? It was large body?
It was right there, dude.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. He's hard as nails. And the other guy, Julian Wilson, that was Mick Fanning in the blue. And look at him. He's just...
that feeling when he got up on that raft.
And when that was going down, it was a full-on ordeal of like... it didn't happen like real quick and he just jumped on. It's like that was like a lot of seconds right there happening. His board got taken away from him and he had to swim and splashing water, panicking. And then the other guy, Julian Wilson, in his heat, was 100 feet away and was paddling full speed towards him to try and help. Instead of that's like when you show your true colors, It's like, that's when you know that shit's going down, is when you see a friend of yours getting what he thought was attacked by a great white.
Yeah, it's probably just a switch that goes off in your head. You probably don't even, it's probably just pure lizard thinking. It's like the survival feeling, like when that thing hit his board and you're in full on panic mode, you realize like you have got to get the fuck away from this thing. There's no other options.
Well, I watched it and you see him, he doesn't like go, hey, what was that? He reacts super quick. He's ready to like fight. If that thing was there, I'm 100% sure he would have started swinging right away if it was right there, I have a friend, actually. I have a friend where I live. He lives on the same island as me. He's from where I live. And a tiger shark came up, grabs him, takes him underwater by the side, grabs him with a full mouth bite on his ribs and his hip, and takes him underwater, like 6 feet underwater. And he had a straight up punch up with the thing underwater.
Oh my God.
He was beating the shit out of the shark. He's a big dude.
It's hard to get like...
At the time, he was like 16 years old. His name was Ulu. And he's a local Hawaiian kid from where I live. And it took him underwater and he straight up fought the shark.
Wow.
And it ended up letting him go. I think he had like 200 stitches or 300 stitches or something. I mean, his whole side was just cut open.
It's amazing that he's
And
okay.
It's amazing he's okay. I can't even imagine what that little, just looking there and the thing, like looking at the eyeball, would have been right there, like staring at him, and he said he was just hitting the thing as hard as he possibly could. Luckily, he's a big dude.
It's crazy that they're attributing it, well, it makes sense though, to overfishing, that they just don't have enough to eat anymore.
It makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
And the thing is, no matter how many attacks there are, like there's been a shitload of attacks in Australia, a lot, in certain pockets, like certain areas. And there's one area in Eastern Australia, like on the East Coast, that has a ton of attacks in the last 5 years, and another place on the West Coast. And there's all these groups that are just like, nope, you can't do anything to the sharks. You cannot do anything to the sharks,
Well, who are these groups, and what is their
like
agenda?
Environmentalist groups that just like, no matter what, you can't hurt nature type of thing,
Is there a shortage of sharks?
Well, man, it's hard. But the bottom line is, if there were less sharks, there'd be less attacks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's difficult. There's
man.
not a real solution where you're going to make everybody happy,
No.
So,
Well, you're never going to make everybody happy when you have environmentalists or animal rights advocates. And there's a lot of like really fucking crazy environmental and anti-hunting animal rights activists that they're not using logic or conservation. They just love animals and they want them protected at all costs. What's interesting is they don't have any problem with animals fucking up animals.
no.
Like, they don't like people eating animals, but they don't have any problem with animals just ripping animals apart.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is weird.
It's weird because it's like they accept nature, they love nature, but they don't like the nature of a human being a predator. Like, they want to move away from that.
Yeah. People are a trip these days, man. I it's funny because the whole social media thing for me is relatively new. It's, obviously we didn't grow up with that, and it baffles me because, I can spear a fish, and I've posted like a photo of me,
Nobody gives a
like
fuck.
with my spear and my fit. There's a bloody fish in my hand. Good job, great going, awesome, great fish. No one says a word about anything that I killed a fish. You kill a deer, oh man, people just freak out.
See what happens when you kill a bear.
A bear, I can only imagine.
The more people have hated me for that than anything I've done besides Fear Factor.
Yeah. Besides Fear Factor.
They get so mad. I'm like, I'm eating it. This is what I eat. I don't buy
Yeah.
meat.
People have such a problem with that, man.
Yeah.
I get these dumbest comments, like literally, like there's plenty of meat in the store.
Yes.
Why would you have to go and do that?
Oh, yeah.
You're a terrible person. Like, I'm not a terrible person because I go to the store and eat it. You're a terrible person because you go and get your food yourself and kill it. Because you did the killing with your own hands, you're bad.
Yeah.
I go and buy it with
You
my
don't
money.
have to
I'm
be
good.
a killer. You don't have to be a
It's
killer.
pretty wild. That whole, it just blows my mind because, I didn't grow up in a city. Like, I get all these people from like Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo or someplace in like South America or a big city. I don't hate to point. I'm not pointing the finger at South Americans or anything like that. It's like, but it's always people who are in cities because they have this major disconnection from their food, right? And where I live, I live in Hawaii. Everybody I know is a fisherman or a hunter, and they, people have gardens. It's like there's a way of life where we live. There's tons of fish everywhere. If you throw your net, you're gonna get dinner. That's what people do.
Yeah.
They eat the food that they get around them, and not always, but it's very, very typical to be a hunter or a fisherman. And like where I live, that's viewed as the same exact thing. A fisherman and a hunter is the same. I don't see the difference, and so that's why it's shocking to me with the whole how people are totally fine with you clubbing a bunch of fish, but the second you kill a deer, they just lose it.
Yeah, well, it's exactly what you said. It's just the disconnect of not really understanding where their food comes from, not being in any way connected to the idea of the natural cycle of life. Yeah. And then there's also a hierarchy of animals that you're allowed to kill and not allowed to kill. Like even turkeys. Nobody gives a fuck when you hold up a dead turkey.
Nope.
They don't give a shit.
No.
But if you hold up a dead bear.
And a dead boar.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing, too.
Get rid of those things.
Yeah, pigs. They don't have a problem with pigs.
They don't give a shit about pigs.
It's weird.
Get rid of them.
Especially
Plus, they're
boars.
eating pigs, too.
Yeah.
Like most people eat bacon every day, right? So it's like, get rid of those boars. That's a disgusting, filthy animal. Kill it. Yep, I'm going to have my bacon, too.
Yeah. Why'd you shoot that deer, though?
Yeah, with the
You
bear.
didn't have to do that. Yeah. Well, bears are the big ones. Because I think
Yeah.
in a lot of ways people associate bears with trophy hunting. And trophy hunting is something that, I get it. I understand that there's a lot of money involved in it for the communities where they shoot these animals, and that it benefits them. And then also they have population issues with a lot of these animals.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it yesterday, the thing that happened in Zimbabwe with Cecil the lion.
Yeah.
How they have to shoot 200 lions now. They have to kill them because they're just decimating the ungulate population.
Yeah, nobody knows about that. All those people that were pissed about Cecil have no idea they got to kill all the lions now.
Yeah.
They have no idea how it works over there, and the only reason those lions are alive is because of hunters.
And they're losing $1 million in revenue.
Yeah.
Because they cost them $50,000 to shoot a lion. So all that money would go to conservation, hiring all the conservation agents, and
it's
stopping
just a shitty
poaching.
system, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shitty system. It's because they're dangerous. They can't do it. Like in America, it's great. It's like, when I buy my tag for Colorado, I buy it for $600. Like $550 goes straight to conservation.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And that's why there's so many animals, and that's a really healthy system of how to like increase populations, how to take care of habitat, how to hire more park rangers, how to buy more land and make bigger reservations and bigger conservation areas. And
I don't think people know that, though.
They don't.
Most people have no idea that most of the money that goes towards wildlife habitat, like maintaining habitat, all comes from hunters.
Like 90%.
And then on top of that, there's a tax on sporting goods that goes to that.
Yeah.
And, people always say, well, hunting isn't conservation. But you know what? Here's the thing. Hunters and hunting products, whether it's bow hunting stuff or rifle stuff, they did not fight that tax. But you know who did fight that tax? All those other companies that make hiking stuff and REI and those companies, they didn't want a tax. So they've tried to impose another tax, and these people have fought it off. And the reason they fought it off is because they don't have to pay it. They don't have to pay it. It's going to fuck with their overhead. It's going to fuck with the amount of money that they have to charge for things. And so this idea that these hunters aren't real conservationists, they're using it as an excuse. The bottom line is that's where all the money's coming from. Yeah. All of it for habitat protection, wetland habitat protection, all that comes from hunters. And it's a lot of money. It's like if they stopped hunting, if they made hunting illegal and they cut off that supply of revenue, there's a lot of animals that would be fucked.
Yeah, there would be.
People don't like it because it's one of those weird kind of gray area things where it just doesn't make you feel comfortable thinking that the money that has come, first of all, the only reason why there's elk in all the habitats that they're at right now is because hunters introduced them to those areas. They were decimated by the turn of the 19th century or the 20th century. So in the early 1900s, there was very few elk left in this country. So the Rocky Mountain Elk Federation spent considerable amounts of money, resource, man hours, moving animals into these areas, like Kentucky. Like Kentucky has like a huge elk population now.
Elk herd, yeah.
There was nothing there just 30, 40 years ago. Yeah. Nothing. Zero. Yeah. So they've figured out a way to not just maintain populations so hunters can kill them, but they've also reintroduced them to areas where they didn't exist before.
Well, increased populations by 100 times in a lot of states.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the elk numbers have never been as high as they, have been in the last 20 years.
Yeah. No, it's amazing what they've done. And it's all because of hunters. And that's I understand it for people that are animal rights lovers, but I just wish they had a more balanced perspective and they understood what all the pieces that are in place are. It's an uncomfortable thing for a lot of people to think that the people who want to hunt and kill and eat these animals are the ones that love them the most.
Yeah.
This is crazy thinking, right?
Well, all the people that are super butthurt about the hunting thing aren't doing anything about it.
Yeah. Well, they talk about it on Twitter.
They're just being angry and lashing out, with their phone. But they're not doing anything to save the animals. Those people aren't on the front lines in Africa trying to save the lions or the elephants or trying to go against poachers and do something about it. All those people are just chit-chatting,
Well, there's not enough money. I mean, if they really wanted to do the kind of work that the hunters are doing, they'd have to have some stream of revenue. Yeah. And the stream of revenue that is coming from hunting is all coming from tags. It's all coming from the sale of hunting gear and products. Yeah. And there's just no way they can match that. There's no way. There's millions of hunters that are contributing literally $1 billion. It's probably more than $1 billion a year that goes to conservation.
Yeah,
especially
I think so.
And it's a weird. It's one of those weird things. It just doesn't. Yeah. It seems like it should be cut and dry.
Well, and I think people have like a misconception about hunting in general. Like in most states, like say Colorado, the areas that I've hunted there, like on a do-it-yourself over-the-counter tag, Cost me like $550, $600. And I go there with my buddy. It's in an area that has, you know, a 7% success rate for archery, or maybe less, 6 or 7%. So out of 100 hunters, maybe 6 or 7 people get an elk. So all these people are really just paying for the experience of elk hunting. They're not even, it's not like they're going in there and buying an animal or nothing like that. It's like, I'm going to Colorado. This is my trip for the year. I choose to go out and just hunt elk for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 week or however long you have time. And that's what the hunting experience is all about for me. I mean, I love the meat. That's awesome. I love the successful hunt. That's great. For sure, I love eating it. But the bottom line is, if I had to go elk hunting and don't get an elk, it's not an unsuccessful hunt. I'm so stoked. This is like the best experience ever.
Yeah, it's a very enjoyable, deeply rewarding experience just to be out there trying and attempting it. And when you are successful, it makes it that much more rewarding because you know how difficult it is.
Yeah.
Especially when you're doing it with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to get within, I mean, if you're really fucking good, you could shoot something within 90 yards, but for the most part, you're trying to get somewhere within 30, 40 yards.
Yeah, that's right.
What's the matter, Jamie? What is this? Oh, my God. Sportsmen contribute nearly $8 million every day.
That's crazy.
Adding to more than $2.9 billion every year for conservation. Hunters and target shooters have paid $7.1 billion in excise taxes since the inception of the Pittman-Robertson Act in 1937. That's incredible.
Everybody in America knows about Cecil the lion. Everybody knows about Cecil. Nobody knows that. Nobody. Only hunters know that. You know?
Yeah, I'm confused here. How's that work? It says I get the $8 million every day, contributing more than $2.9 billion every year for conservation. But this is what I don't understand. It says hunters and target shooters have paid $7.1 billion in excise taxes.
Just specifically that
Just
tax.
specifically
Just the
excise
taxes,
taxes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a shitload of money.
Yeah. So it's tags, and then equipment and taxes. So I guess the taxes is the billion, the 7.1 billion. The rest of it is tags, which is $2.9 billion a year. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
But again, it's the people that live in the cities that are disconnected, and I was one of them. I mean, if you talk to me, if you got a hold of me, 20 years ago when I never even considered hunting, and you asked me about like hunting, I'd be like, assholes, shooting an animal. Animals are awesome.
Bunch of pussies.
Yeah.
With their big guns.
Meanwhile, I go buy dog food and cat food.
Yeah.
Like, I love animals. I'm
Yeah.
buying ground up fucking
And
chickens.
bacon. Yeah.
I mean, that's the funniest one is like vegans with cats. More than $1.42 billion through state hunting and fishing license. Wow, that's incredible. $1.4 billion in conservation comes from hunting and fishing license sales. $608 million from other revenue, $749 million through excise taxes, paid solely by sportsmen. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's where the money comes. And if that money's not going to be replaced by people who love animals. And that's also... There's a lot of people that think of hunters like the characters in a movie, like an Elmer Fudd, like some asshole who hates animals. Yep. But when you listen to like really good hunting podcasts, like there's this guy Jay Scott, he's got a really good hunting podcast, and Cody Rich has the Rich Outdoors, and Steve Rinella has the Meat Eater podcast, which is like my favorite. You're listening to really intelligent, really smart, well-educated people that understand a lot about conservation, the environment, the animals they're pursuing. Yeah. And when they're talking about tactics and strategies and details and all the different areas that you're hunting, all the different places where you're putting in for tags, you realize like this is a complex system that they're trying to navigate in order to be successful. Yeah. It's fucking very, very difficult. And it's primal as fuck. The whole thing is like it's a wild experience and very like literally wild on many different levels.
Yeah, and just I don't know. I can't get enough of it.
No, it's fun.
I swear, like I feel like I measure my success, not so much now because my kids are I'm a family guy and that's basically all I care about is my kids these days. But I swear, like it's like I measure my success by how many days a year I spend in camouflage. Like that's how I know I had a super good year.
Right.
Is if I went hunting a lot. I swear it's like and like if I don't hunt for a while, like my wife will call my friend and be like, dude, you got to take Shane hunting. He's being a dick. He's being a total asshole, and you need to take him hunting.
So it's like you need to get your fix.
I just get grouchy and grumpy and. I don't even really feel it coming on. And my wife's like, you need to go hunting.
But what is it you think that's causing that? It's like the
I don't know.
Is it something's causing it when
Not
you miss
hunting.
hunting?
Not hunting.
Yeah, so
causing
hunting
it.
is alleviating that in some
Yes.
sort of a way.
Yes. And surfing, I do. I've I need to surf a lot and I need to hunt a lot. It's just who I am now. It's just like I'm a hunter just like I'm a surfer. It's like it's not what I do. I feel like that's who I am.
So it's just being a part of the natural world. Like the surfing thing is even though you're on a board that's made out of composite materials and you got wax on it and all this jazz and it's all created by a factory.
Oh yeah.
But there's something about you're introducing your life or your being into the natural world of the ocean.
Yep.
And you feel something like they say that the ocean has some sort of an electromagnetic like feel to it. Like there's something about the ocean because it's essentially alive. You know, it has living things in it, but there's oxygen in the water, and that's how these plants grow. And when there's dead spots, that's why these fish die. Like it's almost like it's not just like an ecosystem. It's almost like a giant living thing.
Yeah.
And you're swimming around in that thing, sort of absorbing its life force.
And I feel like it just keeps you young. I think it's like, I swear, like surfing a lot, being in the sun, being in the ocean a lot. And not like sitting there frying yourself or anything like that, but just like spending a life in the ocean and in the sun is just good for you. I mean, I know people who are in their 50s and 60s and they're just healthy. They look young. They don't have like tons of physical problems. And I don't know. It's just, I think it's good for you. I think spending time in the outdoors, whether you're in the mountains with your bow or whether you're in the ocean doing whatever you're doing, is just good.
Well, it's certainly good to be active.
Yeah.
It's also absorbing vitamin D3 or creating vitamin D3 through the sun. That's a rare thing.
Yeah, and then coming home with organic grass-fed wild meat is even better, you know?
Yeah. No, all those things are, I mean, you're living a very natural life in a lot of ways in that way, you know? And again, there's also the satisfaction element. Just like the people who grow a garden can kind of, and I have a garden, I get it. There's a connection. Like if I grow some tomatoes and some kale and I put together a salad and I'm eating that salad, I'm like, I know where not only I know where this came from, I was there. I put the seeds in, I watered it, I made sure it got fertilized. It's there's something deeply satisfying about making your own food that you grow or that you go and get as opposed to going to a supermarket.
Well, and it takes a lot more effort too.
Yeah.
So you just have like like that elk steak that you eat. Like if you did a side by side comparison with someone who didn't hunt, they may not feel the same way, but because you packed it out, you put all the time in on the target, you did all the hunting, you like looked forward to it for 6 months, that hunt, and that's the best tasting steak you're ever going to have because you have the pride of knowing that you did it all yourself.
Yeah, it's certainly a very, very different feeling. Now, living in Hawaii and being a white guy, what is that like? Because people say weird things about it. I've never found Hawaiians to be racist or rude or weird, but I've heard crazy shit. And I've always wondered, like, if that crazy shit is from, like, rude Americans that come over there and, like, are disrespectful or act like they own the place or...
Well...
There's a little bit of both.
Yeah, there's a little bit of both. There's I grew up, I was born and raised in Hawaii, so I saw a lot of this, like in high school and, like in elementary school. Like if you were a white, like everybody wanted to be a Hawaiian when they were young, right? Like everybody in my school, like if you were white, you kind of wish you weren't.
Really?
That's kind of the deal, yeah. When you're really young, especially back in the day, like it's like 70s and 80s, right? So like when I was a kid, there was this thing called Kill Haole Day. I'm not making it up.
Oh my God.
So you know what a haole is,
yeah,
right?
White
it's
people.
like a white dude. Yeah. So there was a thing. It was called Kill Haole Day, and it was always at the end of the year. And it was like, I don't even know if they actually practiced it when I was a kid, but it was a thing. And it was a thing where like Hawaiians would be like, this is it. Like we're almost out of school. Let's beat up some haoles or whatever the deal was. And it didn't really happen when I was a kid, but there was a thing called Kill Haole Day, and people would talk about it. But times have definitely changed. And the other thing is like there's a huge difference between a white dude who was born in Hawaii and a white guy who moved to Hawaii. So if you're from Hawaii, like born and raised in Hawaii, is totally different than if you're a dude from Orange County that moved to Hawaii when you're 18, and then like next thing you know, you're trying to talk like the Hawaiians and stuff. Like that's when people freak. That's when people lose it. When a dude rolls up and like with the Hawaiian stickers on their truck and jumps out and is trying to act like a local dude. That's when guys get angry. That's not cool. You know?
So it's like a cultural appropriation thing.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know how to explain it, but it gets a little complicated. But if you show people respect, you know. If you're chill, if you paddle out in the water at a localized break and you're mellow, you don't have a bunch of ding dongs with you. You paddle out by yourself and you show respect and you're mellow, then everyone gives you respect. That's what I've always found.
So the issue is disrespectful people in a lot of way.
Yeah, it's just different. It's like its own country. It's like I've never been to Texas, but I hear it's like its own kind of place. And
Texas
like,
is definitely its own country.
If you get off the plane at my house and you get like a convertible Mustang rent-a-car, and someone's going 45 and a 55 in a lifted truck, you don't pass them. You know what I mean? If you pass them, they'll chase you down, and they will.
Really?
Oh yeah. That's just disrespectful. It's like, you're in Hawaii now. Slow down. You know? Don't go 65 and a 55 in a convertible Mustang. It's like it's just a strange place. It's like I don't know. It's just it's its own kind of place, man.
Well, it's occupied. I mean, it's sort of an occupied country.
Completely.
It's like they're part of the United States, you know, in quotes, in air quotes, but not really. That's a country. And
Hawaiian people sailed there on sailing canoes from French Polynesia with stars for navigation.
Yeah.
They got there on their own. They
and how
brought
far
everything
is that?
with them. It's, I don't know, it'd be 3,000 miles or something like that.
What in the fuck?
Yeah.
And they did that in a canoe.
Yes.
I don't even like driving to Vegas.
And like, okay, guys, like, we're out of here. We're actually we're not just going on a cruise. We're moving. We're going to become Hawaiians.
We're going to bring our babies.
Yep. And
like, you have kids. Imagine bringing your kid on a fucking
canoe. So those
canoe.
people moved to Hawaii. They live there. They had their awesome system of the people in the mountains. They trade with the people at the beach for food and sustenance, and that's how they live. You know, there's the mountain people, there's the ocean people, and nobody owned any land. There was no concept of owning land. People just shared and got along, and they had their system that worked. You know, it was a gnarly time too. There was a lot of gnarly stuff that was going on. It was like a radical time to live. If you did something bad, you're executed and all kinds of crazy shit like back in the day. But you know, when the white dudes showed up, when Captain Cook showed up and the missionaries showed up in their boats, and they were trading a musket for like a 100,000 acre ranch, you know, it was like shit got crazy in Hawaii, and you can feel that nowadays. I mean, there's a lot of Hawaiians that are getting pushed out. You know, all these people live in different places on the mainland and make a bunch of money, and then they retire in Hawaii, because who wouldn't, right? Everybody wants to live in Hawaii. But they bring their money to Hawaii, it drives the value up, and then the Hawaiians can't live there anymore. They get pushed out to these areas that are less desirable, that are, you know, and they can't make money in Hawaii. So there's a lot of resentment. You know, there's a crazy dynamic in Hawaii, and you feel that, and that'll never get taken away.
Yeah, how does that work? Because last time I was there, I was looking at these properties that were on the beach. I was like, look at the size of this fucking place.
Yeah.
This enormous house that someone built on this beach. And someone was telling me, yeah, that's some CEO's jammy. It's his house.
Yeah.
He's got a fucking helicopter pad and shit. And I was like, okay, how does that work? So this guy like flies in and stays there sometimes, and how do the people around feel about that?
Yeah, they're there for a week a year.
Yeah.
And they spend 5 years building their house with like Italian granite that's flown in from Italy, and you know, and it's like, guess who's swinging the hammers, right?
Yeah, Hawaiians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they have to drive there from like their little zone or wherever they're living. They definitely don't live in like a private community by the beach.
Yeah.
Or the golf course.
Well, and so how do people feel about those people that do that? Do they get upset at them? Are they angry at them?
No, not really. I think they understand. I just think they it's just a difficult situation. You know, it's like a lot of places in America, really.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's not that unusual, the situation in Hawaii.
It just seems odd because there's so many of these like multi-million-dollar vacation estates that are by the beach, and you like, that's like some crazy fuck you CEO type money that you have to have one of these things.
Yeah.
Like, how weird is it? These people, they come to this place and they occupy this spot, but there's a bunch of people that have been here and their ancestors have been here for 1,000+ years, and this is kind of their area, but you can buy a spot there.
And they work 5 days a week their whole life, and they can't buy a house, you know?
Right.
And then the whole runway where I live is filled with private jets just sitting there waiting.
Really?
Oh yeah. People spend $50 million on their house. Like there's every single one of those guys from the Fortune 500, all the CEOs, all the guys from every big giant tech company. They all have houses where I live. They show up 1 week a year in their jet.
That's so strange.
Yeah, it's
Does
pretty
anybody
wild.
break in when they're not there?
No, they got top-notch security. You think they wouldn't, dude? These are like tech guys.
Well, Roseanne Barr is a friend of mine. She lives there.
Yeah, it's a cool place to live. I mean,
Yeah.
it's people understand why those people want to live there. The weather's great. It's a beautiful place. No one's blaming them for living there. That's not the problem. But
So the problem is them being disrespectful to the people that do live there. And
yeah, if you're gonna be there, relax.
Yeah.
It's Hawaii.
Right.
Don't be in a big rush. Don't overtake me.
Don't drive like you live in
Don't drive
LA.
like an asshole. This is not LA. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
You know, so just when you get to Hawaii, just relax a little bit.
Well, I got that text from you
Downshift.
this morning, the text that you sent me. Fuck LA traffic. That's all it said. It's just you realize,
Man.
like, this place is the exact opposite of the Big Island. I mean, this place is some strange sort of magnet for weirdos, and everybody's just getting sucked into this giant population center, and you try to get anywhere, even in the middle of the day. I mean, you were here at noon, so you're driving around at 11 a.m. You'd feel 11 a.m., everybody's at work, no big deal.
Yeah.
Jammed, bumper to bumper. You should go out at 4 just so you want to kill yourself. Just get on the 405 at 4 in the afternoon. You'd be like, what in the fuck is this? What is this?
If you get on the 405 between like 11 at night and 4 in the morning, you beat rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
If you don't,
Maybe.
if it's light outside, it's rush hour.
Yes.
Straight up. Because I drove just now from San Diego to LA. I stopped in Orange County to get an MRI, but it was rush hour traffic the whole way up. There was just stop and go. And it was like there was no accident. There was no road construction. There's nothing. It's crazy.
Well, sometimes you'll be in a bumper-to-bumper stop that's a mile long at 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck?
Cool, man.
What the fuck is this?
I don't know. That shit drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And then the parking and the street sweeping, and then they have these like the technology, like in places like Manhattan Beach and Hermosa Beach. They have like these like the parking meter dudes. Mm-hmm. They have a thing now where if the parking meter, if your money runs out, they get like a bing, like they know where you are and that your parking meter ran out, and they can drive over there and give you
So they just go right to it.
so it's like
not
hyper efficient technology to give you tickets. Because imagine like the revenue, right? It's like silly.
Yeah. But that's kind of what I was getting
drives
at.
me nuts.
That's kind of what I was getting at when I was asking about Hawaii. Is like there's different kinds of weirdness. There's a different kind of weirdness to living there, and then there's the weirdness to living here, which is the overpopulation weirdness and the showbiz weirdness.
Yeah.
Like, what do you prefer?
Oh man, I don't know. I was born and raised in Hawaii. Is I like the pace. I like that no one gives a shit which school my kids go to or what I drive. No one judges me if I drive a shitty car or they
Right. Probably like you better.
the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I dig that. It's people judge me on who I am as a person and what I do and how I don't know. I feel just like it's a little bit more. It's just a little bit more real, I guess, and just more down to earth where I live. But I also don't live in like I live in kind of a small town, so it's like coffee farms and ranches, and it's pretty chill where I live.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing about the Big Island. I'm a big fan of the Big Island. I love visiting there. But one of the craziest things about it is there's so many different ecosystems in one island.
Yeah.
You drive through this one area, it's like completely dry. It looks like a desert. Then you go to another area, it's constantly raining. It's like a tropical rainforest, like Hilo, like up in that area.
Yeah, it's wild. I don't know. I should look it up, but Hawaii, the Big Island of Hawaii, there's like all these like climate zones, and they always say that I forget the exact numbers, but it's like out of like these certain sort of climate zones throughout the world, like the Big Island has like 11 of the 13 or something like that.
Whoa!
So like if you get in your car and drive for like 2 hours, you'll go through like if you just like happen to like go to sleep and wake up like 15 minutes later, everything looks different. Go to sleep, wake up 15 minutes later, everything looks different again. It's like, it changes so much, it's wild. It's like lava field and desert and like like a dryland forest, and there's like a rainforest and a jungle, and it's just bizarre.
Well, that's the other thing about the Big Island is that there's sometimes snow there.
Oh yeah, we go snowboarding sometimes.
What the fuck? Where's
we'll
that?
go up and like build a kicker and like launch off it and drink beer. That's what we do. It was when it was snow when I was in high school. We'd drive up there.
I try to go every year to the observatory, the Keck Observatory,
Yep.
when it's when there's no moon, so you can see the stars,
Yeah.
just to freak myself out. Because
Yeah.
I went once many years ago, and it just changed my world.
Oh yeah.
The one experience changed the way. It was like literally being on a spaceship. It
Yeah.
changed the way I looked at the world.
Yeah.
Because for people who don't know, there's all these light diffusers, these diffused light lamps all around the Big Island, so that it doesn't give any light pollution to the Keck Observatory, which is one of the biggest telescopes
Yeah.
in the continental United States, it's not the continental United States, right? It's not technically in the U.S. In the world, I think even the Keck
Yeah, there's
Observatory.
crazy clarity and
Yeah.
and no light pollution there.
It's beautiful. You
Yeah,
go up
it's
there and you
incredible.
see every star, and
Yeah.
it just seems it seems like you're on a spaceship. It's like you're on a spaceship and you're looking
Yeah.
through a portal. Yeah, that's what it looks
Yeah,
like.
it's
That's
incredible.
literally what it looks like.
Yeah.
And it almost hurts your brain. It's like, is this up there all the time?
Not to open a can of worms, but did you follow that whole telescope thing last year on the Big Island?
Oh,
There's
about
like
the construction
the 30-meter telescope.
that they were trying to do, and
Yeah.
they said it was sacred land, so
Yeah.
they couldn't build it. Yeah, well, explain that.
See, you are up on it. That's it. I mean, the land where those telescopes are built, it's considered sacred land by a lot of, I mean, basically like every single Hawaiian group that there is.
Yeah.
But there's like there's a designated area within that sacred land that is designated for like astronomy and all that stuff. So, but they have like all these giant telescopes that are owned by different countries. Like China has theirs, and the U.S. has theirs, and Soviet Union, whatever. Like all these big countries spend all these billions of dollars to make their telescopes, and there's some of them that are completely obsolete and they're not even being used anymore. So instead of taking those 4 or 5 down that they're not even using anymore and building a new big one, they just wanted to build a whole nother big one.
Huh.
So there was people were up in arms about it, and it was going to be the largest building on the Big Island as well. So people were just up in arms about it, and there was all kinds of, people got super activated and really started protesting the whole thing and blocking the road, and people were getting arrested, and all my friends were involved, and everybody was against it and protesting. It was pretty wild.
Because they just didn't want the construction to continue and make bigger things. So they felt, it seems inefficient, right? It seems like they should be able to take down the old ones and put up a
Yes.
more
Yes.
modern one.
Yeah. There was not really any Hawaiian groups that were against the technology and against the space exploration. It wasn't anything about that. It was the fact that they felt like they were being disrespected because it was sacred land that was not
Right.
meant to, build giant observatories there. And the fact that there was all these ones that weren't being used.
Jamie, is that in the front?
Was crazy. Is that
Make
an
sure it's
alarm
not
going
my
off?
truck. Is it in the back? Happens around here all the time.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway,
normal.
it was a wild time, and it was weird because the construction company that was building it, they had the permit already, they had the financing already, and they had the Hawaiian government backing them. I thought it was over. I thought there was no way to stop the thing, and it was amazing. Like people really got activated, like through social media, and everybody just got up in arms about it. Everyone around the world knew about it, and they ended up stopping it.
That's incredible.
It was incredible.
I wonder if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I'm a big fan of space exploration.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of what they find out with these telescopes.
Yeah.
But it seems like if they have telescopes they're not using anymore, maybe it's just a financial issue where it would cost a lot of money to break them down and put a new one in the place, and it's not as financially efficient as starting a new one.
Well, it's always one of those things where it's like, it's, in Hawaii, everything's sacred unless you have enough money. It's like America in that way. It's like if you want that beachfront house, nope, you can't have it. Oh, you got enough money? No worries. If you're willing to pay like crazy for it, yeah. So if you want to build a observatory on the Big Island, you can't do it unless you have enough money to put $100 million into the education system in Hawaii and grease all the right politicians and get it all through. And a lot has to happen for one of those things to be built. And then the contracts, everyone's fighting over like the building contracts because it's going to cost $2.8 billion to build the thing. So there's a lot going on, a lot of crazy politics happening behind the scenes to get that space exploration happening. So
That's unfortunate.
yeah,
And I don't think there's more than 100,000 people on the whole island, right?
yeah, there's more now.
How many people live on the island?
I think it's roughly between 150 and 200,000 now.
And how much? When did that change?
It's just slowly going up. A lot of people are moving there, especially to the Kona side where I live. There's
Oh,
a
yeah?
lot more people moving there, like permanently.
Man, it looks
Can't
like
blame
a
'em.
dope place to live.
It's a good place to live. I mean, it's don't move there if you're listening to this. We got enough people. Damn howlies.
Are you one of those, or you don't count as a howley?
No, I'm just kidding.
Are you one of those? Do you ever get called one of those?
Rarely, but I am a howley. I have white skin, you know. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm not from anywhere else.
Right.
I'm not from New York City or from
Right.
Afghanistan.
But do you know how to talk pigeon?
I know how to talk pigeon, yeah.
Like if you were going to say
Not
something
gonna
to
do it
Jane,
right
you
here
won't
on
do
the
it?
Joe Rogan show.
No, you won't do it. You won't do it. It's dangerous. It's
Yeah.
dangerous. It's like
No.
speaking Ebonics.
When I don't speak pigeon, but when I'm having beers with when I'm at home and I'm a couple beers deep, then yeah, it starts like slipping out every now and then. But yeah,
Oh, so it's something that you did when you were younger.
a little bit, yeah, just to
Yeah.
get along, and
Right.
it's just I don't know, it's very typical to when most local people speak pigeon where I live.
Yeah, BJ Penn was explaining it to me once.
Yeah,
And he was like saying like how you would say things. And I was like,
some
whoa.
people turn it on and off,
Yeah.
but I just speak normal English.
Well, it's a cool sound. It sounds cool. It's interesting. It's a very friendly, sort of a fun
It is.
way a relaxed way.
My
It's
parents-
not regal.
My parents would have killed me if I spoke
Oh,
pigeon,
really?
like in the house. Yeah, it was not cool. Plus, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I am a white guy, so
Yeah.
it's not. I am not like I didn't grow up in a Hawaiian family where everyone spoke pigeon. So
Did your parents move there?
yeah, my dad was from L.A. My
Whoa.
dad was from this town. He went to Hollywood High School, surfed Malibu, and he raced cars, and he was a stuntman. He was a stuntman for Elvis because Elvis couldn't swim.
What?
Yeah,
Elvis couldn't swim?
Elvis couldn't swim.
Hard
and
to
he made,
swim when you're on pills. You'd think that he would float good because he's all bloated.
No kidding, right? That was Fat Elvis. He was in his prime back then. But yeah, so my dad did a bunch of movies with him, like Blue Hawaii, and he had like a series of movies that were all filmed in Hawaii. And Elvis couldn't swim, so my dad was the stunt double for all those movies.
And he just decided to stay?
And he just got sick of L.A.
Wow.
and he hated the parking guys. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think he went to Hawaii and fell in love with it. He ended up like moving to Oahu and surfed and hung out and like met a bunch of like local people that he liked, and he liked the lifestyle and how people were there, and ended up moving to my mom went to college and she was from Ohio, and right when she graduated high school she moved to Hawaii and went to UH.
Well, I know, doesn't Woody Harrelson live in Hawaii?
Yeah, that's where all the best weed is.
Really?
Oh,
the
yeah.
best weed? Listen, if there's better weed than what I have, keep it the fuck away from me. Whoever's got better weed, stay away. You can't get any better. I
There's
hate
a lot
when
of
people
Hawaiians
say
raising
that.
their hands right now.
People always want to say that. Like someone said to
I'm
me,
just kidding, but
they were
it's
talking
basically
about
legal where I live,
Colorado
so
weed.
yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it basically legal?
Basically legal. It's pretty casual where I live, I'm sure.
But it's not.
I
Like
hear.
if somebody wanted to fuck with you, they could technically.
Oh yeah.
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 See, that's the thing about like Colorado. Colorado's wide open.
Yeah.
It's just there's nothing. You just can't. You know.
Yeah.
It's just legal.
Yeah.
And nobody can go to jail unless the feds come in, and then you got like some. If you don't
Yeah.
want to fuck with Colorado people, there's a lot of guns in Colorado. That'd be a weird place for the feds to kind of
Yeah.
invade. That
Yeah,
could
but
get
there's a lot of
ugly.
people like that, like Woody Harrelson, guys like I mean, I don't know Woody, but I have friends who know him on Maui, and they say he's just chill. He just likes the Hawaii lifestyle, you know. Just
Yeah.
like to relax. Like,
Well,
who
he's a
wouldn't?
very nice guy by all
Yeah.
accounts.
Yeah.
I ran into this couple the other day at the Comedy Store, and they moved from L.A. to Hawaii. They live in Maui now, and the girl hates it, and the dude loves it. It was interesting talking to them because
Yeah.
the dude works at a resort there. He's like, it is the fucking best place in the world to live. Everybody's relaxed. It's super cool.
Yeah.
The weather's amazing. It's beautiful. And the girl was like, I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So my wife is moved from L.A. to Kona. She went to UCLA, and then she worked for Warner Brothers Television.
Whoa.
Yeah, so she was on the grind.
Is that where
Like,
you met her? You met her out
No,
here?
I met her in San Diego years ago, like before, like right when she graduated high school and started going to like a little college there.
And you're like, you're coming with me, woman. We're going to a rock in the middle of the ocean.
Basically, yeah.
I'm moving you to a volcano.
Yeah, so she looks like a Hawaiian. Actually, she's half Japanese.
Oh,
She's
that's
very beautiful. And
convenient.
so she looks like a local. So everyone thinks I am the haole, and she's a local girl.
Oh,
it's pretty funny.
So they think you snagged up a good one.
I did.
But they think took one of theirs.
Yeah, the local girls. So anyway, but it's funny because when I asked her to marry me and to move to Hawaii with me, it was like, look, like this is where I live. Like she's not really from anywhere. She was like born on the East Coast, like live all over the Midwest. She moved a million different times. You know, her dad had for his work was moving all over the place, and I went to high school and college in California. So when she moved to Hawaii, she moved to LA, and she was in the entertainment business. So she went from like 10th gear to first gear. She was like crazy downshift. So she's like, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be awesome. I'm like, I'll do whatever it takes. You're the right one. You got to move to Hawaii. We're going to do this whole deal, the family, the life, the whole deal in Hawaii. But she moved there and melted down big time. Yeah. Oh yeah. I had these terrifying moments where I thought I was going to have to move to LA.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I would have done anything for her. And I told her, I'm like, hey, the Hawaii thing doesn't work out. And, I'll try to move to California.
So what was the meltdown over?
Just like her friends, her job, her life was all in LA, right? So
yeah.
She moved. She left everything behind, sacrificed everything, and moved to where I live, where my family is, my friends. And she didn't have any of that. So, and then, she had a hard time for a while, but as soon as she met a couple friends, then it was all good. And now you couldn't pry her away from the place. Now she loves it where I live. So she's a local girl now.
Wow, that's interesting.
But it took a while. Until she got friends there, she was like, the whole Hawaii thing was on thin ice.
That's how it always is, though, with people. When you move to a new place, it's fucking hard to be alone. It's hard to be lonely.
It is. It's lonely.
It's hard to meet people that you actually like, too.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're from LA.
Yeah.
And you move to Hawaii. It's like, she's not like she's not like a local girl. You know, there's like a typical local girl. And I don't get myself in hot water, but she wasn't one of those.
Mm-hmm.
She was, she just had a hard time finding that first good friend.
She was Californianized.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would think that, like, activities, like for you, surfing, obviously you would meet other surfers. Bow hunting, you'd meet other bow hunters, you'd find common ground, you'd make some friends if you had to move to a place like that. But if you don't have like a real obvious thing that you like to do that other people like to do as well, I would say that would become a real issue.
It would because I think you feel like you lose your identity, and that's no way to live.
No.
You don't want to like move somewhere or live some life where you don't really know what's going on or don't know why you're doing what you're doing.
For me, it would be super hard to not be around comedians.
Yeah.
Like I'm so used to being around fucked up people that make jokes about everything and anything, and comedians are just so unusual in like the way they behave.
Yeah.
And you get used to them.
Yeah.
It becomes normal. I'm used to being around the Comedy Store and places like that.
And just the sharpness and the quickness and the pace that people's brains work in comedy, or even just in LA, just the pace of how quick people are thinking and talking and acting and being and living. And then you go to a place like Hawaii, it takes most people like 3 or 4 or 5 days or a week to just chill the hell out and relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Just unwind, maybe unplug
just on
your
vacation.
Phone.
Yeah.
And that's why the whole like bow hunting thing, like how good does it feel to just unplug your phone?
It feels good.
Good. Turn my phone off and leave it behind. And it's just awesome.
Doesn't it also feel weird when you're in a place that has no signals? Like there's nothing going on up there.
Yeah.
There's no phone signal. There's no Wi-Fi. It almost feels like the air feels different.
It's the ultimate excuse, though, to why you can't get back to people, because I'm terrible. I hate the phone. I hate it with a passion. Text message, fine. Email, okay. Phone, no. Don't call me.
Oh, actual phone calls?
Phone calls.
Yeah. Well, some people are
answer.
just way too into constantly interacting with people all the time.
Yeah. I want to communicate when I want to communicate. That's why text message is so good. It's like you can text someone, and when they feel like it, they can answer.
Yeah.
It's all good.
No, text messages is really good in that way. I used to think text messages were stupid, and now I think like phone calls are stupid for the most part.
Same. Even email.
It's also, you don't have enough time with people constantly being on their phone and constantly like being connected to things. You know, there's time where there's reflection, alone time, relaxing time, just thinking about shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's, I think, for me at least, that's when I make a lot of my life decisions, like where I want to go or what direction I want to go.
Yeah.
When I'm alone and I can just think about what's going on, like what's bugging me about my life. Like, this is too busy. This is too much bullshit. This is too much hassle. I need to get the fuck away from that. And when I'm constantly on the grind, I don't think like that. I'm constantly on the grind. I'm like, all right, I got to juggle this, and then this is coming on, and then that's coming up next.
Yeah.
And that's what's appealing to me about a place like Hawaii. It's like, there's no juggling, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's a lot for most people, though. You know, it's definitely different. It's definitely different.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a backcountry solo bow hunting trip?
Not solo, no.
You have to.
Yeah?
You have to do
I
it.
worry about fucking breaking my leg out in the middle of the forest.
You have to do it.
I have to break my leg?
No.
No.
Bring a sat phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, rent a sat phone. You can get a sat phone rental. Boom, you got your sat phone. You can call. You can bring an EPIRB, bring whatever safety stuff you want. But do 5-day backcountry by yourself.
Yeah.
It's
Where
the
do you go
best.
when you do those?
I do them at home. I do them at home in Hawaii. You know, or I'll do it
On Lanai, or do you go somewhere else?
No, I do it around my house, where there's vast open spaces where I live, so I can do it.
You bring a tent?
In a lot of other places, you kind of sort of can't do it. It's either illegal or you know, it's not, the areas aren't large enough to like just really get out. But yeah, I do the tent, do the super ultralight thing. I bring my own water, or I'll bring if there's water in the area, I'll bring a pump, whole deal, ultralight bag, ultralight tent, ultralight, the whole, like all my sleeping gear. A lot of times I'll do the bivvy thing where you hunt all day and then you sleep wherever it gets dark, you know, and that's the best. But just the, you know, what you were saying about like, you know, being alone to think finally, it's like, I don't know, like even, it's like we're so used to being entertained all the time.
Yeah.
And that's something that like people are addicted to, like whether it's your phone or even like if me and you went hunting, a lot of time I'd be your entertainment or you'd be my entertainment. But when no one's entertaining you and you're by yourself and you're just out there and you're making your own fires and you're waking up and you're doing your own hunt and you're not relying on a guide or a friend or, okay, I'm going to hunt over there, you hunt over here, and you're just doing your own thing. And even if you're not even hunting, just being silent, you're not talking to yourself. So you're not talking to anybody. You're not talking on your phone. You're not communicating with anyone. And after 4 or 5 days, I did this at home. I did a hunt where I left my house, had my wife drop me off, and I did this long walk over this giant mountain. Bad idea. But it was awesomely fun. And I camped out for like 4 days, and I ended up hurting my leg really bad. I like pulled a muscle behind my knee. And I was planning on going back and having my wife pick me up again. And halfway there, and normally you have no service in this area. It's like a black zone. And so I hiked to an area where I found service, and I couldn't walk back. I was too screwed up. My knee was too screwed up. Anyway, I called my friend who had access to a ranch. At the very top of this ranch, I could walk to it. So it was like another day's walk. And
a whole day walking.
Yeah.
With a fucked up leg.
Yeah. Slowly walking.
Oof.
And I called him and I said, hey, you know, can you pick me up on Tuesday at the ranch? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to be up there anyway. I can come pick you up at the top. And so he picks me up, and after 5 days, he got out of the car, and he was talking to me like how I'm talking to you, and it sounded like he was yelling at me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was so used to like this silence that I was sounding like he was yelling at me. And I was like staring at him. I must have been looking at him really weird. It's like, but you got to do it. You got to be by yourself, totally alone with no communication for like at least 3 days.
Do you know,
do it just for the experience.
Do you know what Adam Greentree is from Australia?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I was hunting with him just maybe a month ago.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, he's a good buddy of mine. We've been bear hunting before and hung out with him and camp.
Yeah,
and
great
dude.
guy.
Hung out with him in Australia when I was there for the UFC too.
He is a killer, dude.
Yeah.
He's a badass hunter.
He's a badass hunter. He's just a badass dude.
Yeah.
But he was telling me that when he goes off to these trips, because he does most of his hunts solo, and that's like really where he detaches and like centers himself. But he says he comes back after being out there for 8 or 9 days, and he hasn't said a word in 8 or 9 days, and he says it just feels weird to talk to people.
Yeah.
Just feels weird to say words.
Yeah. It does. And it's cool, man. It puts a lot of shit in perspective about what you're planning on doing and, you know, the next 10 years or what's happening in your life or, you know, whatever it is, man. It's not, you know, not to get deep in here, but it's a trip, man. It really is. I did 9 days by myself in Colorado, backcountry, do it yourself.
Whoa.
In a tent. And it snowed for 5 of the days.
Where'd you go?
One time I went in kind of in the mountains near Breckenridge. And then another time I went in a mountain range called the Santa de Cristo Mountains. It's in the southern part of the state in some steep shit, some really gnarly stuff, and hiked like 8 miles back with my ultralight stuff.
Whoa.
And I'd hunted in that area with a buddy of mine from home the year before, and we planned on going again, and then he kicked out last second because he couldn't make it. So I was just like, screw it. I got a ticket. I got a tag. I'm going by myself. So I rented a sat phone just in case, and I went there, and like the second day, I walked like 8 miles back, like as a bird flies, right? So it's like really long walk. And but that's where the elk were.
Meaning long walk for people. Look, what was it as the bird flies? If you go in a straight line, it's 8 miles, but you're going up and down and up and down, so it's way more than that.
So I parked at like 8,500 feet and camped at 10,500 feet, which is the highest water I could camp at, right?
Wow.
And the elk were at like 11,500 feet. So it was a lot of hiking, a lot of walking, and just being by yourself, and then the snow component for somebody from Hawaii, you know, it's like it was snowing every day, and I was cooking in my tent and eating, and it was snowing, and the elk were coming in at night and screaming their guts out.
Whoa.
Then there was like a crazy like lightning storm and windstorm. I had to pack up my tent in the middle of the night. I thought it was going to blow over. I thought trees were going to hit me. I had to go into like a dense pine forest and reset up my tent in the middle of the night during a lightning storm.
Whoa.
I had to call my wife in the middle of the night and like, you know, let her know exactly where I was just in case the shit hit the fan.
Wow.
But that type of stuff is, you know, a lot of bears in that area and lions and all that shit. So those type of experience I never had those kind of experiences before I started hunting ever. I never saw that kind of country. I never put myself in those kind of situations. And until I found bow hunting, that's the reason. I was never like, I'm going to go hiking. I'm not a hiker. I need to have like a purpose when I'm hiking, right? So I'm basically a hiker with a bow these days, and that's what gets me out to these kind of places. And I had some of the best experiences of my life just because I found bow hunting.
Well, those woods and like where you're going, these places where you're not going to run into any other people, there's a feeling that you get from those environments. It's almost like a loneliness in a way, like or almost like there's awe, right? Because it's so beautiful and so incredible, but it's also it's humbling in a bunch of different ways. And one of the ways it's humbling is because this woods doesn't give a fuck about you. Yeah. If you die, it's like, so what?
Oh yeah.
Grizzlies keep fucking eating. Yeah. Elk keep having sex and screaming their heads off. And, and birds keep flying, and that's just how we've always done it, dude. Sorry you didn't make it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It doesn't care.
And you're alone, like alone. The dark night seems darker.
Yeah.
You know, the silence seems more silent.
Oh yeah, way more.
You know, you get back to your tent and it's dark.
Well, it's a big perspective enhancer.
Yeah, it is.
I went to Prince of Wales last year. We hunted on Prince of Wales Island outside of Alaska. It's fucking rained every day. Yeah. Just miserable every day. And
bears? Moose?
We were hunting deer. We were hunting Sitka blacktail.
Oh, very cool.
But unsuccessful. We struck out. But when we came back,
I heard it's hard.
It's real hard. There's not a lot of them. Where we were, we fucked up. We got to a place where they had already moved down towards the water, and we were up high.
Were you with Cam on that hunt?
No, that was with Ranella. That was for the Meat Eater show.
Yeah.
But one of the things about it was that feeling of like almost like a sadness, like so beautiful and gorgeous. Like it would rain every day, but every now and then the sun would come up, and when the sun would come up, the sun would hit this incredible green. It was like illuminating, like it was lit up. And we got back after 7 days of this, or however many days it were, 6 days, and everything in LA seemed so nice. It was so warm and beautiful, and I just loved it. I was so happy. And I called Ranella up, and I was like, dude, I don't think I've ever been happier in my life. Like, I'm so happy, and it's because I was so miserable for those days.
Yeah.
And that's another perspective enhancer, to realize, like, you're so goddamn lucky you have a roof overhead, and that, you know, you can listen to the radio in your car, and that you could, you know, you can get around, and it's easy, and you could talk to people on your phone, When you're out in just the woods, no cell phone service, no nothing. There's nothing.
Yeah.
We had
No Amazon packages come into your house and like food delivery and
nothing, no pizza. You can't order pizza.
Yeah.
There's fucking nothing, man. We brought some food with us, and that is what we ate because we struck out.
And the cold, man.
Yeah.
And the wet.
The wet. Yeah.
Until you've been head to toe soaking wet in your boots and your socks and your pants and your rain gear and your everything that's supposed to keep you warm and safe from the elements is soaked to the bone. And it's getting cold. That's gnarly, man.
Well, that's also where you appreciate really good gear too, like merino wool.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, wool is a weird cloth in that, like, if you have cotton on and you get wet, you're fucked. But if you have wool on and you get wet, the wool actually retains the heat, so you could be wet and still warm. Yeah. Which is really unusual and hard for people to understand if you've never worn wool.
Yeah. Well, that's when the right gear, there's a lot of hunts that really, you don't really need the right gear for some hunting. But in that backcountry stuff or in real steep mountains or stuff where you have to walk far, if your shoes are wet and your socks are wet, you're going to get the gnarliest blisters and you won't be able to walk anywhere.
That's why I'm really fascinated by companies like Kuiu that spend all this time developing the most technical gear, like the lightest weight, the best at absorbing wind for their tents, and they go through great lengths to engineer their products to make sure that it's just it's a giant company that just makes ultralight gear for hunting. It's kind of crazy that there's a company like that.
Yeah, but you can see why when you go on the backcountry hunt and you don't have the right gear, you that's the last kind of hunting you're going to do like that.
And
it's like a survival thing.
How'd you figure out like what stuff to bring and what stuff not to bring? Did you read up or did you do trial or error?
I right when I got into bow hunting, I got bored of feeding pigs and having them come to my house and having them come to my tree stand. I got bored of that pretty quick. It was super fun at first, and I loved it, and it was really good learning, and it was a blast. It's building tree stands by myself, but I super quickly got bored of that and wanted to do something else. I wanted to go walk in the mountains all day long, and I ordered Cameron Haynes' backcountry bow hunting book. This is right when I started hunting. I had no idea who Cameron Haynes was, and I just was geeking out on everything hunting, and I did some research, found that book, ordered it. It changed my life. I got and it's funny because I told Cameron that, I told him that I got his book, and it fully inspired me. I ordered the ultralight tent, the right one. I did all this research on which one to get, which one was the lightest, which one's the driest, which one is the best at cooking, which had the biggest vestibule. I ordered the right stove and all the right, ultralight plates and forks and camp cups and sleeping bags and the little towel that packs up tiny and the pillow that packs up tiny and the right backpack and all that stuff. So it's funny because that when you're shaving ounces, and it really adds up. It's like a difference between like an 80-pound pack and a 40-pound pack if you get the right gear.
Yeah, Jason Hairston, the owner of Kuiu, he makes a spreadsheet where he weighs every single thing he's bringing, and he packs it up, and he weighs like what's in each pack and what he needs for each, and he has this this Excel spreadsheet of all the different stuff, and then that's how seriously people take it, especially like sheep hunting and things along those lines.
I got so geeked out on the ultralight thing that I started looking at all of ultralight hiking websites and getting all the tips. Like instead of just bringing a little spork, one of those little spork, the ultralight sporks, you'd cut your fork in half, or even in just 1/3, so you just had the fork part. So you would shave off those ounces of the rest of the fork. It would just be the part where you just ate, and
that's ridiculous.
And your toothbrush, you'd cut it so it was just the part that goes on your teeth.
Yeah, that's what Adam does. He was telling me he does that.
Pretty funny, but
that's ridiculous. I'm a manly man. I can carry a fucking toothbrush handle.
Yeah, it's funny though because it all adds up. When you don't think you need that much stuff to go on a backcountry hunt, but a lot of times you put every single thing you're going to put in that pack, and it's a lot of stuff.
Right.
And to shave those ounces down means then you can bring a better tent, a better sleeping bag.
Right.
You can add up some more ounces on the other side. I'm a big eater, so I bring a lot of food.
Yeah.
And water, and
Now, do you weigh out your food? Do you make sure that you have intense, calorie dense food?
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you bring with you when you go on a backcountry hunt?
Oh man, stuff you get bored of quick. Like I bring like nuts, like macadamia nuts and almonds and pecans and cheese and jerky and stuff like that. And especially if there's water, that's a game changer. If there's water where you're going to be, or even anywhere near where you're going to be, then I'll bring a stove every time with oatmeal and freeze-dried meals, like Mountain House meals. Those are insane.
Yeah. Do you ever try dehydrated?
Yeah, those are
dehydrated
those same
food?
ones. Yeah.
But
yeah,
there's dehydrated and freeze-dried. The dehydrated is apparently lighter.
Yeah.
That's why people are gravitating towards dehydrated now.
Gotcha. Those Mountain House are so light. I don't know how anything could be lighter than that.
While you're shaving the handle off your toothbrush,
That's
son.
right. Maybe they take up less space too.
Yeah, I think that is what they're saying.
But,
yeah, it takes up less space.
Yeah, but there's certain things that I can't skimp on, like food.
Right.
Know? But you know what's really good is when you, like before I do a hunt like that, I'll make like 2 panfuls of bacon, and I'll make it all up, and then I'll bring that, and it's like that's my treat at lunch. I'll have a couple pieces of bacon.
Doesn't it go bad?
No, it kind of doesn't. It doesn't. Once
How long
you
does
cook
bacon last?
it, it depends where you hunt. Also,
Right.
if you're hunting in
Moist.
Arizona in the summer, then maybe or somewhere by the beach in Hawaii, it'd probably go bad. But in a normal hunt, if your stuff doesn't get super hot, no, it's fine.
How long does cooked bacon last?
You know, I got that idea I think from Cameron Hayes' book, because
Oh,
they
yeah?
would make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with bacon in it,
Oh yeah.
and so I would do that. I don't know how long it lasts, but don't tell me if it's. But I'd bring it for like a 5-day hunt, no worries. And eat
just-
bacon like at least the first 3 days.
Once you start getting diarrhea, then you cut back.
Exactly. But what was I going to say? Oh, because I don't know, I just crave the fats.
Yes.
It's like I'm eating all these nuts and bars.
Yeah.
Nuts and bars, nuts and bars, nuts and bars, and all I want is fat, like grease.
Well, when you're doing heavy duty climbing and things along those lines,
That's
and
right.
going up and down mountains, that is what you crave.
Yeah.
Like you're not into carbohydrates, you're into fats.
Yeah.
Like your body's like, we need something calorie dense.
Oh yeah. And then when I leave hunting, when I leave the mountains, like say I go to Colorado and I hunt for a week, and I'm like, I lose 10 pounds and get all super skinny and like mountain man style. I get out of there and I just want like a bacon double cheeseburger, like a big giant, not like the kind of the fast food place, but like a big, like a
Right.
3rd-pound burger with a ton of bacon on it with like blue cheese and avocados on it.
Yeah, just massive fat.
And just go giant and just blow myself sky high with this giant thing of fries. And that's always what I crave.
Well, the amount of calories that you're burning when you're climbing up and down mountains all the time, it's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's thousands of calories a day. You,
Oh, yeah.
you literally have to keep
Yeah.
stuffing your face just to maintain your body mass.
Yeah, you do.
Well, if you were a person who is doing this on a regular basis, I mean, you would get really good at preparing for these things. So you must have like undergone like a transformation where you started off sort of kind of like trying to figure it out, and then as you got better and better and better, you got more and more streamlined in your approach. Like,
Yeah.
do you feel like you have it down to like a science now if you want to do something like that?
With what, the actual backcountry hunt or the
Yeah.
actual hunting itself?
Well, all the stuff you're packing, your
Yeah.
plan. Do you ever use Google Maps?
Oh yeah,
That's pretty cool that
it's
you can do that
incredible on
now.
your phone these days.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
Amazing.
Well, what people do, if you don't know, they find an area. Like, say, if you draw a tag for an area, you get an This is not for you, for people listening, obviously. But you get an overhead. Google Earth will give you. It'll show you where the peaks and valleys are, and it's amazing. It shows you the canyons. It shows you water sources, and you see from a satellite image, so you can literally see elk. Like sometimes on Google Earth, which is incredible.
Yeah. And you can really you can get back to your camp much quicker, shave a lot of time, don't get lost in the dark. You can get to your water source way quicker, and it's really efficient. But then you need to bring batteries for your phone or some solar panel, but I haven't really found a super efficient solar panel that'll charge up your phone and your stuff that fast.
Yeah, especially when you're in the woods. You're not getting a lot of sunlight there.
Yeah, it always seems like it doesn't work as good as you hope, but
yeah, they're getting better at those things.
Yeah, they are.
They're getting. I mean, if you're in Arizona, and you're in the
of course,
like mule
Depends
deer
on where you're
hunting in the
hunting.
desert,
Yeah.
you got a great shot at charging up
and
your
you
shit.
can leave it in one place for like a few hours, just sitting there in the sun. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but as far as the hunting goes, I've gotten better at like the planning and the backcountry gear, but that's all like I think you learn that pretty quick. But you find out if you're a shitty hunter right away, because you come home with no meat all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy. It's like finding out if you're good at the stock market. Right away. You get that feedback. you lose a bunch of money all the time, right?
Right.
It's the same thing with bow hunting. And I love going hunting because I didn't grow up in a hunting family. I have no background in it when I was young. So I don't have like those like the instincts like that someone would have. Like that, I have really good friends that grew up with a bow in their hand, and their dad did, and their grandpa did, and their great grandpa did. Actually, one family in particular, but they're so good at bow hunting, and I love bow hunting with those guys. Like guys like Adam Greentree, guys like my buddy Justin at home, my friend Jason on Lanai who hunts axis deer. They're like half deer, half human. They know how to hunt, how to kill, when to move, how fast you can move, how slow, like when to slow down, when to run. It's just, I love it. I'm absolutely obsessed with like trying to learn to get better at it.
Now, have you taken any archery lessons? Have you ever like gone to like how did you learn how to shoot correctly?
I didn't. I learned how to shoot terribly. And then
you had to relearn?
Ever since I've been trying to correct it. So
still
now I'll shoot with guys who are really good archers. And they'll help me. So I've done a lot of work with that, but I still like my effective range is still like 50 yards. I've tried for a long time.
For 13 years.
Yeah, I've tried really hard.
Now, when you practice, how
I
far do you
can kill
practice?
a target
Right.
I can kill a target at 70.
Right.
No worries. But it's so different, you know.
Right.
Like guys like Cam say that to shoot 60, you should be shooting 120 all the time.
Right.
To be able to be effective at 60, you should be shooting 120.
Because of the pressure and the nerves.
Yeah, there's a difference between a target and an animal. It's just so totally different.
But it's also the way you shoot too, right? Do you use a trigger or are you using?
I use a thumb release.
So you're using
but
back
I use a lot
tension,
of back tension. Yeah.
Right? And what kind of release are you using?
I got target panic. Have you ever heard of that?
Sure. Yeah, that's why I asked you.
It sucks.
Yeah.
You do not want to get that. But I hunted for years, and then recently, my friend was filming, and as I would shoot, I would punch a trigger like crazy, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. And it got worse and worse to the point where I ended up giving my releases away and stopped hunting for about 4 months. And all I did was go and shoot. I put this target right outside my front door, like a hanging bag target, and I'd walk up to it, draw my bow like 1 foot away from it, and just practice releasing over and over and over.
With your eyes closed?
With my eyes closed. So I wouldn't focus on any aiming or anything. It was like a psychology thing where you have to break it down
Mechanics.
all down into like the perfect release.
Yeah, that's called blind bail shooting for people who don't know. And what it is impact bracing. Your mind gets used to the feeling of the bow going off, and so you brace for it. And when you do that, you start to develop these sort of patterns where you're anticipating the shot.
That's crazy.
And it can really fuck your head up.
It really can. And it got so bad to where I couldn't put my pin on the animal and my finger on the trigger without punching it. I couldn't do both. I had to put my finger, my pin off the animal, and then my finger could go on the trigger. It was really weird. It got extreme.
And then once the trigger or once the pin is near the animal, then you just
I get really nervous. Yeah, it was really bizarre.
And this is weird because you're you're a bad motherfucker. You're dealing with giant waves. Yeah, you're fucking surfing 50-foot high waves.
If someone told me that was going to happen to me, I would have bet my life savings against it. I'm totally not that guy that like freaks out and like gets panicked out like stuff like that, especially like a pin on a bow. Like
like what?
Give me a break.
Yeah.
And man, I had to work through it. For a little while, there's people who like give up archery altogether.
Oh yeah, super common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've read a lot about it. It's because I'm terrified of it.
Yeah. Don't even worry about it. Just do your thing and keep hunting the way you're doing. But
I've learned how to shoot with back tension, and so I get a surprise shot all the time. I don't use a trigger, but Cam just uses triggers. But he worked through it too. Everybody works through it.
Yeah.
When you learned how to use a thumb trigger and use back tension, is it something you got from like YouTube videos, or did you have someone show you how to do it?
Yeah, I had a friend show me how to do it. I have a really good friend from Spain. His name is Pedro. I don't know if you know him. He's super cool.
Oh, Pedro from Spain.
Yeah, Pedro from Spain.
I don't know who that guy is.
There's a few of them in Spain.
That's what I heard.
There's a few Pedros down there. Anyway,
couple of Jose's
he's
too.
A badass bow hunter.
Yeah.
Badass. Yeah, and really good archer. So he suggested like a back tension release. And
Let me explain what for people who have no idea what we're talking about. When there's a type of release that has when you sort of set your thumb on it, but you don't squeeze it with your thumb. What you do
Most
is you
people aren't even going to know what a release is.
Right. It's something that connects to the string on your bow. It actually connects to what's called a D loop, which connects to the string. There you go. There's a bunch of. Well, those are back tension releases. Well, those are like real back tension releases where very few people ever use those for hunting. But like, what kind of release do you use? What brand?
I think it's a Carter release.
Yeah, I do too. I use a Carter.
But it's mainly back tension. I'll yeah, exactly like that. Like I'll put my thumb around the trigger and then I'll just keep pulling until it goes off.
Right. It goes off when you never know when it's going off. So because of that, you're not anticipating it.
But but it keeps coming back. Like in a situation where I'm hunting when I'm 25 yards and I get full draw on a deer and it's perfectly broadside, I have this overwhelming feeling like it wants to move, and now I've like sort of like trained myself to like slowly squeeze and pull. So that makes it go quicker.
They say you should have like a mantra as in your head as well.
Yeah.
That you should have a bunch of things you say, like line it up and release the arrow. Like that you have to have like some sort of a thing that you put in your head.
Yeah.
Like you probably shouldn't say release the arrow.
What's yours?
Execute the shot.
Yeah. Do you have one?
Yeah, line it up and execute the shot. That's what I say. Line it up, execute the shot.
Yeah. You know what I do?
Stay calm too. That's the other one I say. Stay calm.
That's a good one. Breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe. I do that thing where I spell lock. So
LOCK.
as I'm settling, I get to full draw, I get my anchor, I start settling the pin, and I look at my bubble level, and once my little checklist is all in line, and I'm on the animal, as soon as I feel like my pin starts to relax and steady, I spell the word lock and squeeze at the same time.
Ooh, I like that. I might steal that.
Yeah. You know what else you're gonna like? This is my friend Jeff, who basically taught me how to bow hunt. Jeff Lee, the guy's a legend. He's awesome. He told me that when he gets a full draw right before he pulls the trigger, he says, "You're gonna die, motherfucker."
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's deep.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that one.
But he told me, but he's not like that. He's not like that. Like you would never think that. He's not like he's totally not bloodthirsty. He's a super ethical hunter. He just goes, man, it's a psychological thing. He goes, if you are hoping you're going to hit that animal, when that arrow goes off, if you're hoping you're not going to hit him, you're not going to kill him. It's not going to be an efficient, ethical shot. But he goes, if you truly believe that you're there to kill that animal and that animal's going to die right then, it's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, there's a website called Iron Mine Hunting. Have you ever heard of this? This guy, I forget his name, Joel something or another, but he suffered through target panic himself, and he's a SWAT guy and a police officer, and developed like a whole system understanding the impact bracing and a whole system. I haven't read it. He's got a book on it, and there it is, and he's got Joel Turner, and he's got a whole website dedicated to controlling target panic and developing like a whole system. Yeah, I have to check it out too. And it's one of those things where, no matter how long you've been doing it, it's possible that this shit could creep into your brain, which is weird. Like people have been successful hunting for years and years, and then all of a sudden they get target panic and they're fucked.
Almost everybody you meet who's bow hunted for a couple decades has had it.
Yeah.
Almost everybody. Everybody from Randy Ulmer to everybody.
Yeah, Randy Ulmer has a couple of good videos on how to handle it too.
Yeah.
And he says you should use a back tension release to get used to it, or a hinge release. And what that is, for the people who don't understand what we're talking about, there's another type of release that doesn't have a trigger at all. And what you do is you draw back, and just by moving your hand, you're sort of curling your pinky down and making a fist. It goes off, but you never know when it's going off.
Yeah.
It goes off completely unanticipated, and that helps you deal with this tension issue, this fucking mind fuck.
Yeah, but I got over the hump, and I'm back.
You're back.
I've had a good 2016 so far. Yes.
Feels good, right?
It feels good, dude. As I was panicking about the panic for a while, and this year started off good. I've done quite a bit of hunting. I went hunting for fallow deer with Remy in New Zealand, and had just an absolute ball. Killed a great buck.
I saw some pictures.
Really cool terrain.
You're using that crazy quivalizer thing too, right? Where it's a stabilizer.
Yeah.
And I tried that for a while, but it kept getting loose on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was wiggling around too much.
I didn't have that problem.
Tighten it down too much.
And it worked really good for that specific hunt. But we hunted in this awesome terrain with this crazy rocks and cliffs. There was not one bush. There was no bushes there. There's no trees in this area. It was just like you had to use you had to use the rocky outcroppings and just the basic like terrain features to get close. And we ended up sneaking down on this bedded group of deer that was at the base of this cliff.
Go to Ben O'Brien's Instagram. What is his Instagram?
It was such a steep downhill shot that I had to like, when you're shooting downhill, you got to bend at the waist. You can't just aim down or you'll miss.
Right.
And so I had to remember all that stuff in the moment. It was just a really technical shot and a technical stock. It was really a lot of fun.
Well, Ben took a photo. The reason why I said go to Ben's Instagram, because he took it's Benny O'Brien or something like that. He has a photo of you doing it where it literally looks like you're shooting from the top of a building down to the first floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a crazy picture.
Yeah, and that's the kind of practice that you'd never do.
Right.
A lot of people don't like set their target at the bottom of a cliff and stand at the top. And it's really different.
Or shooting up either.
Yeah.
Either one of those.
Super different type of shot. So, but that was a lot of fun, and I've done some really good hunts. I did one with Remy in New Zealand. I did one with Adam Greentree in Eastern Australia.
And what did you guys hunt in Australia?
We hunted in an area that had fallow deer mainly. There was a couple red stags around too, but that was a ball. We had a lot of fun.
He's trying to get me to go hunt water buffaloes with him. I'm like, fuck you.
He's been trying to get me to do that too.
These things are giant. They're just giant fucking murderous beasts.
Yeah, that's not the part. To me, is the I love hunting like in the mountains where it's cold and beautiful, and I'm looking at a big valley, or over the ocean in Hawaii where you can see like the ocean, the white caps and boats going by. Like, it's just beautiful, right? Beautiful wilderness. And where those bulls live, it's like 50 million flies on you and mosquitoes and a swamp, and it's like there's snakes and slugs and spiders.
How about crocodiles?
And it's 100 degrees.
Yeah.
And crocs.
Yeah.
And it's, man, it's like, I turn into a little pussy when it comes to those kind of conditions.
I turn into a little pussy when I look at pictures of it.
Yeah. He's like, you got to come do the buff thing, mate. You got to come do it, mate. And I'm like, sure thing. I will for sure.
Good luck with all that.
No.
Him and Cam Haynes went. They brought no food.
Yeah.
And they brought no water. They said, mate, we're going to do it the right way. So they go out there, and they were bathing in this fucking lake that they didn't realize had crocodiles in it. So they were in up to their neck, cooling themselves off, and then later on found out that crocodiles had slipped into this lake. So they easily could have gotten eaten.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some of the biggest fucking crocodiles in the world that live right there. Fuck that.
I was hunting with another buddy in Australia, and we were hunting in an area that had crocodiles. And every day we had to cross a couple of little areas that had water. And I didn't even think about it because I'm not around crocodiles, right? And he just, after the first day, he didn't really worry about it too much, because after we crossed, he goes, hey, if I'm not with you tomorrow and you cross here, make sure you throw a bunch of rocks in the water right there to make sure there's no crocodiles, because if a human passes by an area where there's crocodiles over and over and over, they pattern them, and they will sit there and wait for that human to cross again and whap, get you.
Oh, fuck.
So they're super intelligent hunters.
Fuck
so that's
that.
what they do. Like, they actually wait for, like, whether it's a rabbit going by every day or a human or whatever it is, a dog, a cat, and they will sit there and wait just underwater. And when you go by, that's when they strike. So
such an efficient animal too. The fact that they could just stay underwater for hours without breathing, they slow their heart rate down to like a beat a minute or something stupid.
There's a place in northwestern Australia where the waves are really good, and in that area there's a ton of great whites, tiger sharks, and saltwater crocodiles
that swim in the ocean.
Yes.
For miles. They swim out for miles.
Yeah, and they fight the sharks.
Fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck everything. Fuck that whole place. God, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
They swim. Imagine being in the fucking water in a canoe, and you're looking over and there's something bigger than your canoe, and it's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And it's swimming in the water.
Yeah, and it wants to kill you. It's hungry.
Oh my God.
Crazy, huh?
Australia's a wild ass place, man.
It is.
It really is. Beautiful and crazy and wild. Seems like New Zealand's a better spot though.
New Zealand doesn't have any of that stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm from a place like New Zealand, right? I'm from Hawaii. There's no snakes.
Yeah.
We don't have deadly spiders or anything like that. And when I go to Australia, I get so freaked out about the snakes. So freaked out.
Oh,
and
they have those brown snakes that kill you instantly.
I almost stepped on one of those.
Ah! Fuck.
I literally...
Fuck you, Adam Greentree. Why are you trying to get me to come to your house of horrors?
My foot was up, my left foot was up. I remember I was walking like through this grass called tussock, and it was and Adam was like, you're never gonna see a snake at this time of year. It's like winter time, right? So they're all down, whatever they're doing. They're hibernating, right? And so I'm walking by myself, of course, and I almost put my foot down, and I looked down, and there's a coiled up brown snake. And he was out like sunning himself, and I almost stepped right on him. One of those red belly black snakes. That thing crawled right past me one day. I was with my other buddy, and he goes, "You're never gonna see any snakes. I never see any snakes around here." First afternoon, I swear to God, the first afternoon I ever hunted in Australia, this guy just told me you never see a snake. Like an hour into our hunt, maybe less, he goes, "Don't move. There's a deer. There's a deer, mate." So I just stopped, of course, right? I didn't even say a word. I was like looking around for the deer, side-eyeing it, trying not to say a word, trying to be completely still. And he goes, "Okay, now look down." I looked down, and this giant snake had just passed me. Completely deadly.
So he said don't move just because he didn't want you freaking out because the snake was
If
there?
he would have said a snake, I would have flipped. Ah! Yeah, but he goes, "There's a deer," and he knew
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Red-bellied black snake. That thing looks awesome. I'd like to make a belt out of one of those fucks.
Yeah, there's
Be an
plenty in
awesome
Australia
belt.
you can bow hunt.
Can you make a belt?
Oh, yeah. Probably make a pair of boots to go with it.
Are they that big?
No. We can shoot a few of them. You shoot all you want, please. I give you permission to go to Australia and shoot them all.
Well, that's the thing about Australia is like you can kind of just shoot animals constantly. They have
Especially
so many
snakes.
Yeah.
No one's going to be bummed out if you shoot a snake.
God damn, what a beautiful looking creature.
They are
though.
incredibly beautiful creatures.
They're so shiny.
I saw like a 10-foot python too hunting there. Really scary.
They have pythons?
I am so freaked out about snakes. They have giant pythons. Giant pythons. I saw one that's like 10 feet long. And my buddy almost stepped right on him too.
What is that?
And we were stalking deer. We were stalking right next to these giant bucks. And there's a giant 10-foot snake right next to it.
How fat was it?
Like as fat as my forearm.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's so fucking big. I was running with my dogs once in the hills. And we ran over what I thought was a log. And they just ran right over it. I ran over it. And then as my foot is passing over it, I go, oh, fuck, that's a giant rattlesnake.
Yeah.
It was a huge rattlesnake. Like literally, I mean, not quite as big as my upper forearm, but definitely as big as my wrist.
Yeah.
And it was easily 7 feet
Was that
long.
here by your house?
Yeah,
here?
right
Wow.
over here. Yeah.
Wow.
They're fucking, there's a few of them up here that are big as shit. It was huge. Big ass diamond head, big ass triangle head. I was like, look at the size of this fucking thing.
And I'm like defenseless and like mentally defenseless because I don't even know. I don't know how to react to snakes. I don't know what to do. I don't know where they live. I don't know what they hide under usually. I don't have any snake background. So I'm not like looking. Oh God, no thank you.
Giant rattlesnake killed. Look at the size of this one. This one's like fucking 12 feet long.
Yeah.
Where'd this guy kill this thing?
Mexico, it looks like.
Oh my God, look how fat it is.
30-yard shot guaranteed. I would definitely take it all day long. If that thing was 30 yards away, I'd smoke it.
With expandables, right?
Yes,
you got to use like a rage.
Yeah, rage.
Do you use a fixed head broadhead or do you use expandables? Look at the size of that one. Jesus Christ. That's bigger than the one I ran over. Or at least semi.
That's a big-ass snake.
That's huge.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I use fixed heads mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use like these little VPA heads. Vantage Point Archery makes these like little two-bladed, same ones that Adam uses. Yeah. But they're all machined out of one piece of steel, so they're very strong. They're very they're just super reliable heads, and they fly well.
Yeah, that's a big debate in the archery world, expandable broadheads versus fixed head. What we're talking about, folks, is like expandables. As they go in, these blades open up on the side. They're like a mechanical blade. Yeah. But sometimes they fail and they break off and they hit ribs and stuff like that.
And there's some animals that they're better on, I think. But I've used rages a bit, and I've had really good luck with them, actually. I've had friends that were like, oh, man, I can't do the rage thing anymore. But I've had super good luck with them.
Well, they're making hybrids now, too. Like Muzzy makes a hybrid, and then there's those grave diggers where it's a fixed head blade and then two other blades open up behind it, which is actually probably even better than just a regular fixed blade.
It totally depends on what you're hunting, too, because like where I live, I hunt axis deer. Axis deer were brought from Sri Lanka. Are they
really? From Sri Lanka?
Yeah, and Sri Lanka and India. So they're like an Asian deer. Oh. And their main predator is in like Borneo and where they're from in all those countries there was the Bengal tiger. So if you look up the history of axis deer, its main predator for thousands of years is Bengal tiger.
Wow.
So they have like a vertical leap, like a crazy vertical leap, and they run like super fast, and they always jump your arrow, right? They always jump the string. Yeah.
So when they jump the string, do you aim low so they duck down? You catch them when they're ducking down?
Super low. And if they're alert, most of the time you aim off their body.
So if they don't see you and they don't see you release your arrow, do you still aim low?
I aim low.
Because the sound. Just the
aim
sound
low.
makes them
They react
duck down.
They react like super hyper fast. So the reason I brought it up is because those mechanicals are really good, especially on axis deer, because even if you make a perfect shot, like if you're just an incredible archer, like someone like Cameron Haynes, you're 40 yards, you're just rock solid, not nervous, you make the perfect shot. That animal could be completely spin around into 180 and you hit him in the other side, or you hit him in, you can make a gut shot even though you made a perfect shot.
Just because they move so quick.
So in those kind of situations, I think, a big expandable is really good, because if you hit him badly, those things cut giant holes, So.
Yeah, they cut giant holes.
Yeah.
Cam shot a bear with one of those grave diggers. It's one of those hybrid blades where it has a large fixed blade, but then it has these two really big expandables that go to an 1 3/4. And it just opened up a shot like a 300 Win Mag. Yeah. It was a huge hole in the deer. In the bear, rather.
And they still get the crazy penetration.
Yeah. Well, he's shooting 80 pounds, too, and, with those really thin FMJ Deep Six injection arrows. What kind of bow are you shooting with?
I shoot a Matthews Halon 6.
Oh, those are great bows. Yeah. That's what Ben has. Same one.
Very quiet.
Right? Yeah.
Silent.
So the 6 is the one with the 6-inch brace height, which is so it's a little jumpy, right? It's like that turbo cam.
Yeah, they have a 5, a 6, and a 7, I believe. So the 5 is like the jump, the fastest one. Right. But it's probably not as jumpy. Easy to shoot. Yeah. So like with all speed bows, I think the shorter the brace height, the faster they go. But they're, my understanding is, and I'm not like the super archer guy, but my understanding is that the longer the brace height in general, the more forgiving the bow is to shoot.
We just got in this technical geek talk with people in their cars right now going,
Everyone's
what
like,
the
hey, fast
fuck
forward.
are they talking
fast
about?
Forwarding to the next subject.
Yeah, I geek out on bows, man. I geek out on all sorts of gear. I'm a fan of all the little tiny things that make a difference.
Yeah.
And you pack them all up. Yeah, I shoot a Hoyt.
They make good bows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I shoot a Defiant, Carbon Defiant, 80 pounds. It's a fucking flamethrower, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love it.
They fling some arrows out fast.
Yeah, I'm just so obsessed with it. I practice almost too much. I really have a real issue. We were talking about the new studio that we're setting up where it has a 50-yard indoor range. It's one of the reasons why I got it.
I'm coming back over next time. I'm going to bring my bow.
Dude. You have to.
Yeah.
So do you have anything planned that you're really looking forward to? Any big hunts that you're planning?
I have nothing to promote on the show.
No.
Doesn't everybody come on? Have a book coming out or a movie?
If they do, that's cool. If they don't, that's better. It's not bad one way or another.
I'll be at the thing tonight.
That's fine too. Yeah. But I just wanted to talk to you about both things.
I do have a lot coming up. I have some rad surf trips. I surf for a company called Billabong. That's my major sponsor. They make clothes and
got a t-shirt on right now.
Yeah. So I've ridden for them forever, and they're awesome. But they have a really good amateur team. Like they're best youngest amateurs from around the world to ride for Billabong. They activate them and take them on a couple trips a year. So they're taking them to Bali, and so I'm going to Bali to go and help mentor them, surf with them, help train them, and help get them ready for the next step, right? So I'm bringing my son. My son is 9. He likes to surf. So I'm actually going to go to Bali. This is the first time this has ever happened. I'm going to go to Bali for a work trip, which I do that pretty often, and go on these surf trips that are really a work trip. But now I get to bring my son because he likes to surf, which is really, really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Yeah. So my son, now that he likes to skateboard, he's a little skater rat. And I hoped that he'd be into surfing, because that's what I love to do. And now that he likes to surf, I'm just so stoked. And now I'm taking him to Bali. So,
do you think he's going to try bow hunting?
He already bow hunts.
Really?
Oh, yes.
He's 9 and he bow hunts?
Yeah.
Has he been successful?
Yes.
Whoa, what has he shot?
Boars.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You're a 9-year-old kid and you kill a wild boar.
Yeah. Now, I'll text you some pictures. He's savage too. He has that really long hair, and he's in the photo with the boar. He's got all this face paint on his face, and he's got his little badass bow right there. His arrows all pass through.
Wow.
He shot 3 now, and
That's
passed right
incredible.
through. Yeah.
What kind of bow is he shooting?
He shoots 30 pounds right now because he's tiny.
Yeah, he's 9.
Yeah, he's 9, but he's small. He's a small 9. He's small.
It's pretty fucking strong for
He's
a little
strong
kid
little
to
kid.
shoot 30 pounds.
He's super strong.
Do you have him lifting weights?
He's ripped.
Really?
No, he's dead serious. He's ripped. He's got a 6-pack. He's never stops moving. He's got a lot of energy. He's one of those kids.
Right.
He's at skate camp right now up at Woodward West.
Wow.
So I dropped him off at Woodward West, and I got some work to do in Southern California here. So he's at skate camp hanging out.
You were saying there's something wrong with your back?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know. That's what I'm doing here. I had to get an MRI this morning. I kind of just tweaked my back about 9 months ago, and it was really bad. I was doing a workout, and it hurt it.
What part of your back?
My lower back. Yeah.
I got a machine in the back I want to show you once we're done here.
Is it reverse hyper?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah, it's good.
Have you heard of them before?
Yeah. I've used them a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They're the shit.
They're
man.
really good.
If you have a place for them, you should get it. It's a fucking phenomenal piece of machinery.
So I got really into CrossFit. So I was using I was using the reverse hyper a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good.
So was this before or after the injury?
Like before and after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it help at all?
Reverse hyper helps. Yeah. Just helps stretch me out and loosen it up.
There's also some. We have some decompression stuff in the back. Some different spinal decompression things that I could show you that'll help. Okay. I'm kind of an expert now in healing up back injuries.
Oh yeah.
I had a pretty severe bulging disc issue from jiu-jitsu that made my hands numb.
Wow.
Yeah, but now it's gone. It's completely gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't have any bulge at all. Had an MRI. It's clean.
I've never had back issues, and like 9 months ago, I was trained. I think the thing that happened is I was training like really pretty seriously I got really into it. I got really excited about it and just loved training. It was like one of those things I just love to do. So I'd train like 5 days a week. I got really like muscular throughout my hips and my quads and my core. Mm-hmm. And just got super, super developed, kind of like my muscles got like cables. And then I had like a 5-month period of time where I was just traveling like out of the country for like 5 months. And I just couldn't do the same kind of workouts. So I was doing these really mellow workouts and kind of not working out too much. And then I got home and I had like a month to get ready for winter. And so I was like, I'm going to ease back into the workout thing. And the first workout I did, my body just got pissed, just locked up.
So you tried to go just a little too hard, a little too quick? Or...
I was trying to go really mellow, but I was going relatively mellow compared to what I was doing before. But my body just was like, I don't know, it was pissed.
Do you ever fuck with yoga?
I love yoga. I do. I really like it. The yoga classes around my house are never at the right time, and I don't do it by myself.
Just get a DVD or YouTube, man. There's a lot of videos on YouTube.
I know, I need to do that.
That's been a saving grace for me. It's been a big help, and also there's a lot of yoga exercises that I didn't even realize before I did it. They act as a spinal decompression. They stretch you out. You feel your back pop, pop, pop as you're doing some of the stretches.
I actually really love yoga. Yeah.
It's fucking awesome, man.
I go to yoga classes. My wife's super into yoga.
It's one of those things, though, like for a dude, especially a manly surfer, bow hunting type dude, you tell people, yeah, I'm really into yoga. Oh, what are you, sucking dicks over there in that yoga class there? It's one of those, it seems like I'm not super feminine macho, thing though. Well, you're a bow hunter and you surf 50-foot waves.
Yeah.
On paper, you're a pretty fucking macho dude, fella.
Yeah. No, but if you talk to anybody who knew me well, they would never describe me as macho.
Well, I don't mean macho like in a dumb way.
Well, I have no problem walking into a yoga class is what I'm saying.
Of course you don't. But saying it, like saying yoga to people, I'm not saying, obviously, I don't have a problem with it. I do it all the time. But I'm saying there's a sort of a preconceived notion about yoga that it's like, it's not a hard thing to do. It's not like a manly thing, but it's one of the most difficult things to do that I have ever done.
That kicks your ass.
Fuck yeah, it does. Especially hot yoga.
Yeah, it does.
It's unbelievable how difficult it is.
My wife does this stuff called booty yoga. Have you ever heard of that?
Booty yoga. I like it already.
Yoga. It's like yoga. She's going to kill me. Yoga / kind of like semi like twerking. But it's like a dance yoga. It's like high energy, but like crazy yoga poses. But it's like gnarly cardio too. And the girl Jen who teaches the class is badass. And it's the gnarliest workout. I've never done it.
Okay,
I'm too macho for that.
For booty yoga.
Yes.
See, I knew it.
I knew it. I couldn't.
What is this? This is booty yoga. Jamie found it already. So this girl's throwing like a back kick
Yeah, that's
and
not what I'm
squatting.
talking about. That's definitely not what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
I don't think booty yoga has an official designation, so I think a lot of people call their stuff booty yoga.
But the class that my wife does is it will kick your ass. It's like really high energy. It's really crazy cardio, and it's yoga too. So
And there's twerking.
there's a little bit.
Are there dudes
And
in
I
that
think they
class?
play like Lil Wayne and like the gangster rap,
where I'm
and
out.
they just
I'm
go
out.
off. You know, they get nuts.
There it is?
Yeah, that's probably more.
Oh,
it's like-
Jesus Christ.
yeah, my wife's much hotter than her.
Booty yoga with twerking plus Lil Wayne music
Yeah.
equals I'm
hey,
out.
anything that keeps the missus
Oh, sure.
in shape and nice and tight.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a giant fan of that.
For them, yeah,
I
it's
am
awesome
all
for them.
All about it.
Yeah, if girls want to do this
I'm
all day,
Absolutely all about it.
I'm a big fan of what she's doing here in
I
this
don't,
video.
I don't see any downside.
I don't
really
see anything. I'm agreeing with you 100%. Well, listen, man, thank you very much for coming
Right on,
here. I
Jonathan.
really appreciate
Yeah.
it. And Shane's got a Twitter, but he doesn't use it. So if you see him, say hi.
Yeah, I got an Instagram that I use.
Okay.
That's I think that's the only.
And what is the
only one.
Instagram?
Instagram is Shane Dorian, ShaneDorian.
Well, thanks for coming in, man. I
Yeah.
really appreciate it. I really
Thank
enjoyed
you.
talking to you.
Yeah, it was fun.
All right, folks, we'll be back in a little bit with Ari Shafir. Bye.